Welcome back, everyone, to Red Spotlight. I'm Alexys, joined by my very good friend here for the first time, I want to say, since maybe March, February on this show. Please welcome back Alexys Moreno. Of course, this is Red Spotlight, the show that brings you everything coming out of the world of movies and more. And I think it's actually quite serendipitous that you chose this particular show to come back on. Now, granted, you've been doing a bunch of different things, and it's not as if like you've been entirely absent. You have made appearances here and there. But this happens to be the 10th anniversary, this exact week that we're recording this, mind you, that Alexys here made her very first ever appearance on this show. And I guess bearing the lead here, that would kind of make the show that we've been doing older than 10 years old, which is crazy to think about that. Although we have said for many, many times that we don't really consider the original beginning, the real canon, I guess, of the show. I think we more or less start with this episode, I think. This episode that Alexys and I and our good friend Kyle, who created the podcast in the first place, did literally 10 years ago this month, this week. I think all of us consider that to be the first official episode because it forever kind of like paved the way for what the show was going to be. There are a lot of feelings. There are a lot of emotions when we say this out loud. And this episode is going to be a lot of different things. We're going to be ruminating on how we maybe have stayed the same. Hopefully that we've grown as people for the better, and I think we have. And then also maybe some things that are not so great, of course, as life has literally plunged into the dark times quite these last 10 years. I mean, I think when we recorded that episode, it had maybe been a little bit, maybe only 2 months since Donald Trump went down the escalator and introduced himself to the world, reintroduced himself. And so that was the time that we were living in, obviously. And of course, now we're
everything. And
now we're, yeah. And we already know where we are and everything. So that's something. And of course, we'll get into what's going on right now. There are a couple of discourses and conversations that our good friend Alexys here has not had the opportunity to really chime in on. That includes Materialists, Fantastic Four, K-pop Demon Hunters, Freakier Friday, and anything else we want to discuss. And of course, this intro being a little bit different, the first episode that Alexys debuted on, was number 13. And of course, and I don't know how it ended up being this way, but this is going to be episode 513. So literally 10 years later and 500 episodes later.
That's insane.
Here we are.
And it's like, if you think about it, it's like, it's more than that, because that's like 3 or 4 different shows that we made after that. And like we did, I don't know how many Fantasy Fair episodes we did.
Probably like 80 something.
Okay, that's a good amount. Oh, and then I was in some of the videos too. That's crazy. That's a lot.
What videos?
The video.
Oh well, yeah.
Yeah.
There's so many different kinds that we do. We have the Red Spotlight podcasts, so just like 500 normal episodes. It doesn't even include After Darks. It doesn't include any other like special reviews that we would do. A lot of things have changed. A lot of things have definitely changed, but one that definitely hasn't changed is I want to say that when we started doing a podcast, any kind of recording, in the distant, you could hear a dog barking. And wouldn't it, of course, luck would have it, there happens to be this random dog that is in the background, and unfortunately, I'm gonna have to just point that out to the people who may or may not hear it. Hopefully, you won't hear it, but I'm pretty sure you will hear it, because that bitch isn't shutting up apparently. But of course, in a way, I think it actually is kind of the way that it was always meant to be, because when we started doing this, it was a lot of different shenanigans. But ultimately, and as we've said many, many times, we just love talking to each other about movies and about our lives. And it's, it's, it, I'm struggling to really find the words to really, I think, do it justice, because and I think all of us, I think you and I can definitely feel that it is this feeling of where reality does just not feel real anymore. To say out loud that we have been recording things for 10 years, I just it's crazy. And I did take an opportunity earlier today to take a brief listen to that episode that we're talking about. And there are a lot of things that struck me. And I think this is, I don't know if this is a positive, or maybe it's melancholic. It's good and it's bad, in that there in the audio you can hear how young we were. We sound more or less the same, but it's like staring at a picture. When you hear the audio, it's like, this is not what we sound like today in a lot of different ways. And I think when I say something like that, it kind of makes you think like, whoa, how much older? It's not so much about that. It just, there's a lot of ways in which we sound young. I think most primary among them is optimism, enthusiasm. We were like 20 years old.
I'm about to turn 30 this month. Next week, in fact. And that's crazy.
Yeah. This is the year that we turned 30. A lot obviously has changed. I don't think any of the people that recorded that podcast thought that the world that we live in right now was even the faintest idea of a possibility. We thought to ourselves, we were on the precipice of this new age in humanity. And I think even in 2014 and 15, while things were crappy then for a different host of reasons, there was optimism that eventually it was going to get better. Here we are 10 years later, and it feels like we went off into a branch timeline in which everything or anything that could go wrong did go wrong, and then it went wrong again and again and again. We're living in a timeline in which, as we speak, there is just blatant hatred for all kinds of people, the destruction of homes happening on a daily basis, families being separated, people being crushed by an economy that works for the top 0.1%. If you're Elon Musk, and if you're Sam Altman, and if you're Jeff Bezos or Howard Schultz, Lex Luthor, if you're any of these people, this country's working amazing for you. And you couldn't have picked a better time to be alive, because you get to make money off of people's misery, and you get to spend a huge portion of your capital to crush them anytime they wish to speak out against your practices. You got it made. You got one of your own in the White House who is basically, as if it's the equivalent of Al Capone ever were elected president, because he really is just like, we're a crime family and we're going to steal whatever we can, as they already have. Many people today are dead that didn't need to be dead. because of a global pandemic that was mismanaged. And we should all be indebted to the people who are most responsible for this collapse, the Democratic Party, and their incompetence and their fecklessness and their way to just go ahead and rig the last 3 elections by putting the people that they would prefer instead of actually allowing the last time voters in a Democratic primary were actually allowed to pick their nominee without influence from the machine of the establishment was 2008. And today it was published that Democratic Party voter registration affiliation is going down everywhere.
Sick.
The popularity of the Democratic Party is lower than maybe at any point in recent history, and that is with a fascist state currently up, kicking, and running. That's just the politics. And of course, the politics weaves its way into all aspects of our lives. 10 years ago, we had a moderately healthy movie-going theater box office business where all kinds of movies could thrive. Today, we are lucky that we have comedies like The Naked Gun and Freakier Friday that are in theaters. They probably aren't making as much money as they should. They're not. As they would have 10 years ago. No chance in hell. Because now we're living in a world where we think those kind of movies are streaming only. 10 years ago, we could talk for hours about, not to each other at a random place, but we could go to a Best Buy or a Target and we could actually browse for hours at all the different movies that they had there. Because there was a movie culture that existed that was actually enriching and wonderful and joyous, because the internet at that time was wonderful and thrilling and enjoyable, to where 10 years later, we're thinking of movies like The Matrix. It's just not even that far from reality. Right now, in a show called Alien Earth, they have this literally like 20-year-old Lex Luthor type that's just like, oh, he's been able to transfer a living consciousness over to an LMD body. All because he wanted to have, this is in the show, an interesting conversation with somebody.
Oh.
Assholes like that are now who are in charge of every facet of our lives, and they are making every facet of our lives that much worse. Everywhere you look. Am I grateful to have what I can still get with the conditions that we have? Yes. And I would just say personally, it's been a really good year for me. I've had a lot of fun being able to do a lot of wonderful activities with the passions that I have, despite the fact that all around us, we are living in a crumbling world. Just today, I read that in Boston, some asshole teenagers beat the crap out of somebody who dared to shush them because they were being disruptive at a movie theater.
Oh.
That person went to the AMC management and they did nothing. They weren't even kicked out. They were just shushed. And those 5 teenagers waited outside for this college student, and they beat him, and they beat him up.
Jeez.
The kind of experiences that I am now seeing in theaters today is not even comparable to what things were like 10 years ago. Last week, well, the last couple of times, I went to go see Shin Godzilla. There was this couple nearby me who were not even watching the movie. It seemed as if they were just kind of like mumbling or speaking to each other. The girl was just talking the whole time about anything but the movie. It seemed like they were just there to kill time. Then with weapons, same situation. A couple came in and sat right next to me, and they were acting as if they were in their living room. Went to go see Freakier Friday. This one bizarro individual got up and like paced back and forth like at least 10 times throughout the duration of the movie. I don't know if there's a medical condition there or not, but it was just off. When I walked into that theater, I saw at the tip top of the balcony 2 people who had their feet up barefoot.
Oh, I saw it too. That's gross. I'm sorry.
theater etiquette isn't a thing that happens anymore. And of course, earlier this year we had the fiasco with fucking I Saw the Chicken Jockey. That episode where we talked about Minecraft and the craze that happened. We have a generation that's up and coming that has no sense of value to things that our generation cherished. And yeah, does that sound like an old person thing to say? You better believe it does sound that way. But in this particular case, I don't think any generation ever had more of a right to be pissed off than we do about the things that we cherish being tarnished and destroyed, because the ones that are coming up next, by and large, treat those things so disposably. Now, does that happen every time there's a new generation? Yeah, sure. But it just feels so much more existential because it is happening at a time in which all of our institutions are collapsing and crumbling before our very eyes.
Due to the previous generation. So, sick.
Yeah, I mean, that's why we are just like, yeah, and to be clear, because some people are going to be like, okay, boomers. Well, the boomers had a pretty big deal with it. So did Gen X. Those are the ones who are the primary culprits. By the way, I think there are still some boomers who still are in power today. In fact, I think we do have a boomer president. We've had, I don't know.
Yeah, I would consider him a boomer.
Yeah, he's 79.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. 79 fucking years old. Just today I saw a clip. He was at some international conference thing, and he was being asked a question about the horrible amounts of children that are dying because of the situation happening with Russia and Ukraine. Oh, by the way, of course, we're living in a world where, if I say all the hundreds of children who are starving and dying, I mean, take your pick. Where in the world? Because there's a whole bunch to pick from it. That's where we are today. But this is in regards to Ukraine and Russia. And the president's response was, we did a great trade deal. Congratulations on that. Thank you for the question. Didn't even seem to know where he was. I will show people the clip later on. Like, this is the reality that we live in right now. This is the world that we live in. And don't even get us started about fucking Disney. Because Disney was the reason why all of us were even talking to each other. We had a similar passion for, all things Disney, the movies, and of course the theme parks, which is what led for us to get together to do that podcast. We were not friends, really, until that podcast happened. But what was so interesting about... Yeah, just mute it. If he's not gonna... Just mute it. Because it's really getting in my ear. That podcast, when you listen back to it, what struck me is it just sounded like an ordinary podcast that we would do now. It sounded like we had known each other our whole lives, and I think we kind of did in a way. I think that recording we realized, while we're not the same person, there is something about us that is very similar. We realized that, oh, you are just about as passionate about this as I am. And I just didn't think that was possible. And it felt like, oh my God, did I find my people? It really did feel that way. And I think you can tell when you listen to it, we became friends in that recording. Before, I mean, we knew of you, you knew of us, we didn't speak to each other. On a whim, I think you just like, okay, let's see how this goes. But I don't think you ever could have possibly imagined, I couldn't have possibly imagined what that would lead to. And these recordings that we do have been, God, so unbelievably therapeutic, which is ultimately what we do. And it helps us keep in contact with each other, and it helps us carry on a conversation that I think all of us can get something out of. There were a lot of things that I heard myself say on that podcast that I'm like, why do you sound that way? And it's like, maybe I sound the same, sure, whatever. I think I just clearly didn't know all that much. I think I sounded like I knew. Maybe with Disney, yes. But when it comes to like what we mainly talk about here, which is film, but I acted like I did, and I kind of just like I guess I faked it till I made it. I don't know. But throughout the process of doing something like this and carrying on a dialogue that has sustained itself like this throughout 10 years, even the words that we use, the language that we use, how we speak has changed. It's one of these things where it's like, oh, it's the same, but it's completely different. I don't know how life can work out to be that way, but there are plenty of occasions where it very much does feel like that. Even as I'm speaking right now, it is just really hard to wrap my head around like what's happened. Disney was the thing that unified us. It was the thing that brought us together. And I'm very grateful for that. But like with most other things, where that podcast was just nothing but, isn't Disney the best? Isn't it great? It was the Diamond celebration. We were talking about how you had just gone to do the experiences there with Paint the Night, Disneyland Forever, the World of Color Celebrate. We talked about how our Grat Night experiences were, because at that point, Grat Night was a relatively new thing to us, whereas now it's way in the past. And I think those of us who have been lifelong Disney fans are always going to find something about it that will always bring magic to our lives. Like I even in recent years where I've just continuously grown more angry with Disney and what they do. Certainly with their business practices, which have gotten far more aggressive, and even more so for their creative decisions, which have just been more abysmal than anybody would have ever thought. At least I would have. But anytime I go into a Disney park, I always enjoy myself, and it never really gets to a point where I get tired of it. Now, what has changed is
my body gets
talking
tired.
about Disney. Oh, yeah. I didn't want to bring that into consideration because, of course, I think that kind of speaks for itself. There is noticeable, if you're watching the video version of this, there is noticeable decay. I'm not going to say who is representing that bill on today's show, but I think if you have eyes, you can clearly see who is falling apart at the seams. It's not me. Anyway, yeah, we can't deal with that anymore the way that we used to, for sure. But we used to be able to sustain a really long and engaging dialogue, which is why there was even a podcast in the first place called Fantasy Fair, talking about all things going on in the Disney parks, because it was so exciting about what, could be brought from all of this construction, all of these new visions going forward. And at that time, the company was more or less delivering on things that were being promised. Now, it's not fun talking about that because they literally are going back on their word any given day of the week. There was a D23 that happened, and you were right. You said, we'll see what happens, and I think history has continued to prove you right there. It's like, yeah, and it wasn't even that long ago that happened, but things are already changing.
Well, I mean,
and it's just not fun.
The last three announcement of all of these things, Disney Plus was introduced. Like, literally, so many things. The following one, hey, look at this. Wouldn't this be cool? And then the next one, here's another presentation of all of these things. Cool. Reimagine things from the two previous ones that, never happened. And I think
So I think all of that.
I think
Go ahead.
the year that started was maybe like the last D23 that was like the best one.
2019.
No. Was it 2015 one? I think I went
There
to
was a 20. That was yeah.
Because we talked about it on the podcast, didn't we?
Yeah, because that was the year they announced Star Wars Land.
Yeah. So I think that one was maybe the one after, but I don't believe so. So it would have been 2017. Maybe 2017 and under were like top tier. But I
2017 was the one that you went to go and experience the actual like show floor presentations. I think that's where you saw the Lion King trailer for the first time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was in 2015.
Yeah, that was 2017.
Yeah, I mean,
the Lion
2017
King one was 2017.
was like peak because of just like what I got to do and what I got to see. But I think 2015 was the last like really, really good one. And that one I think was my first one. And it, like, obviously there was Disney fans, but like it was not sold out. There was still tickets being sold like day of. So all of the fans that were there were like genuine, true fans. Not that like fans today are not, but it's like different now, you know? So I think like that one specifically was like a really good one for that reason.
So that's a really good way to introduce this show, to kind of like give a little bit of of where we were, where we are now. It's overwhelming, to tell you the truth. Alexys, I'd like to hear from you about what does it mean to you that we did that podcast, that we do these shows. When you heard me recount all the different things that have changed from then to where we are right now, aside from existential dread and the feeling of staring into the abyss.
I'm already like in those feelings. Again, birthday's next week. It's a big one. Like, I've just been, one of my cousins keeps asking me like, how are you feeling? How are you doing? How's it going?
Does she really?
Like, checking up on me. And I tell her like, I'm not like too stressed out about it or whatever. Like, I have feelings towards it, but just like, it's mainly just reflecting on what's happened in the last 10 years. Like, I feel like your 20s is like such, how you pointed it out earlier, we started off so different to now. And I feel like that does happen every decade we get older, but like, I feel 20 to 30 is such like a big, like, extreme change.
Yeah.
You know, you go from going to school to not going to school. You go from going to school to working. People move out. Like, all these things happen. And not that they don't happen in other decades, but, like, it's more common in this one. But, like, at the same time, just how we found each other. Like, you find people that are also going through the same things as you. And, like, school kind of forces you to create a community. But, like, when you're outside of school, you create communities on your own. And I feel like that's what, like, we have done for each other. And that's, like, the biggest thing that I appreciate of us doing this and how you said also, like, it's been so therapeutic for all of, I don't think I would have survived COVID if we hadn't done an episode, like, every day. You know, like,
which we did. We did at one point. We
literally
do an
did
episode every day.
So I think that's like what I appreciate the most out of doing this for 10 years is like you guys and listening to you guys rant about whatever, or you guys listening to me rant about whatever. And, you know, like, yeah, I'm so happy that we get to do this and that we choose to do this. And you guys are not tired of me.
Which is asking a lot for sure. I mean, for all of us, we're all good friends, but at the same time, we all do grow tired of each other. I mean, that's just natural, right? It does help, though, one of the things that is our benefit is that I don't think throughout most of these last 10 years, we've all ever been in one place for longer than maybe
Oh
a
yeah,
year.
that was the last year I lived in the valley. Also, I like to point that out.
2015. Yeah.
Like, it's been 10 years since I've been out of the valley. That's crazy.
Yeah. It's really interesting the timing of all of this. You know, and all of us have gone and, you know, to do different things here and there, but it's like that last year that you were here, you were integrated into the show, and I believe we recorded some stuff in your house before you moved out. What made that first year, since you joined, and the thing our other friend Peter Martinez joined, really special was that when we would do recordings, it would never be like this. Which this is fine. In fact, it's even better for a production value to do it this way. It's so much easier. But we would always do it together in person in one room. And we would literally be with each other for hours and hours. Not just whatever ended up being on the podcast, but like before setting up, after. Maybe we would do something like go eat or a movie after or before. Like it felt most of those times like it was an all day thing. But then we had to move and do things that we needed to do, you know, and live life and experience things. But despite the fact that, and then you and I especially have been the ones that have just like been all over the most. And yet throughout all that time, we still kept this going. Because I know that when I first moved in 2016, I knew for sure what I didn't want was to lose this.
Yeah, I felt the same way. Like,
yeah.
I feel like when we started hanging out, I mean, not to get all sentimental and everything, but like at that time,
what's that?
At that time, like all of my friends had moved away. I had just gotten out of a 5-year relationship. Like all of
you
these,
got ditched, didn't you?
Yeah, literally.
Basically.
Okay.
Like you were basically abandoned. It was like, okay. That
anyways.
came off me. I'm sorry. I just like. Hey, it's okay. We were here to rescue you from loneliness.
That's what it felt like. And so again, it's just this feeling of doing this every time, even though sometimes I do get lazy because I work all day. When we do it and we're done, I feel this sense of like I let everything go. Like I, you know?
Yeah.
And it just has always felt that way.
Because every show, it feels like we have so much to say. Like we've been waiting to get all this off of our chests. Because like what helped us is that we were so into covering movies, and we got further and further deeper into the thing as we went along. But the deeper you go in, the more there is to say, the more there is to talk about. Like today, you bring up, I brought up earlier, like K-pop Demon Hunters. We've been talking about that movie for weeks now for various different reasons. But the conversation continues to evolve in such a way that I want to keep bringing it up because there's more interesting things to say. And you know, maybe it's just us, but I do feel like in our conversations, what makes us very different is that we actually do listen to a lot of the people out there that actually have a following and, you know, are like people who are, I guess, influential. And oftentimes, we're not a contrarian podcast by any means. I think all of us happen to have a love for things that are considered mainstream. But when it comes to like prevailing theories or mainstream talking points about anything, whether or not something is great, something is bad, why something succeeded, why something failed, why the direction overall is great or bad, I feel like collectively if we're just talking about calling balls and strikes, I know this sounds like, like, what do you know? I don't know. It feels like the conversations that we have had throughout these last 10 years, it kind of seems like the things that we talk about here end up kind of coming to fruition one way or the other. It doesn't necessarily mean that we're correct in everything we say or do, because that is surely as fuck not the case. It just means that we definitely have a lot of alternative points of view that I don't think are heard or voiced anywhere else, to tell you the truth. And I think it makes for a healthy and lively conversation. But it's, yeah, a lot of things have changed because of life and everything. I moved a couple of times around, but every time that I moved to a new place, it was just, yeah, it was a fresh beginning, but this would always be brought over. When I moved in 2016, I knew that the BNC videos that we would do, it just wasn't going to be the same. And what am I going to do? Like, carry that over? And maybe I could have, and maybe I should have tried a lot harder to keep that going. I don't know. I do wonder about that. But I'm happy with what we're doing now. I'm really happy with how these last couple of years have turned out. I'm getting ahead of myself there. But when I moved to 2016, I think it was for 2 years, and then I moved again in DC around the time of. So 2016, I moved around the time of like Suicide Squad when that came out. Then I moved to DC around the time Black Panther, I think, came out. Black Panther: Infinity War. Notice, of course, those are Marvel movies, but like, or comic book movies, I should say. But that was the thing then, right? That was like,
that's your
like
sense
the
of
main
time.
commodity. Yeah. And then COVID, of course, was like the most obvious one of like, okay, that was a good year and a half where things kind of came to a grinding halt. Now it's been 5 years since then.
That's crazy.
Which is insane to me. Insane. It does feel like COVID, more than anything else, aged us more than any 1 year. It was like a time warp, because I turned to 25 when COVID happened. I'm 30 now. And I'm like, I don't know what happens here, but it does feel like
it felt
I'm
like
not
20 to 25
was.
took forever, and then 20 to
Yeah.
or 25 to 30 went like so fast.
I have to wonder if COVID.
I'm sure it did. I mean,
it was because of that.
Basically, like, was a waste of a year. I mean, in a way, no time is wasted. But like, a lot of things were switched up on us.
Yeah, for sure. So, but I'm very happy with how the last, ever since COVID, I think things have been trucking along pretty well over here. I think our conversations continue to be as lively as they've ever been, if only slightly more cordial than they were in the very beginning. I think on those early days, we were kind of like going all guns blazing, one at each other's throats here and there. But of course, there are still, Peter still finds ways to just, I think it was in June or whatever, we were doing, I was trying to like talk about, how much Elio meant to me, and he was just doing like making noises in the background on purpose while I was trying to communicate that, of course. And of course, he picked that specifically because that's exactly what Peter does. And to also speak on him, he has made more than an effort to continue to do this.
I'm surprised he's still doing this.
Yeah.
That makes me happy. Yeah. I feel like he's like doesn't care about, not that he doesn't care, but if he doesn't want to do something, he's not going to do it. And I'm happy that he like makes the effort to come out in this. Even though people can barely see him on the screen, but yeah, he does make an effort to be here. And now he's
back on the show regularly, but there was a good year to a year and a half there where he couldn't really be on here all that often. But that allowed for David to come in and kind of like
he said,
really
"Move over. I'm
finally-
taking over."
he basically did. And we've done a couple of, we've introduced reactions as a regular part of the channel now. There are at least a handful of people that communicate with us. So that's, you know, progress.
Hey,
you know, that's something.
It only took 10 years.
It only took 10 years. And of course, him managing the site and doing most of the editing. I mean, that's a lot to do. And I just am thankful that he's very enthusiastic about doing all of that. But no, I mean, it hasn't gotten boring. I know it's gotten a lot more difficult to find the space and the time to do it because we all have different schedules. I had a lot more free time. I mean, if you could tell, the last 3 months have been a lot more content out because I've had time. And now that I'm back on the grind with what I do, I mean, every week I still record, whether it be a podcast or a Shield reaction or something else. It's very rare for me to not do any kind of recording. So at the very least, there is that. And that's amidst, like, let's just say a very busy schedule. This has been kind of a rough week for me because I've been trying to get back into my usual sleep schedule.
Oh,
thankfully,
no.
That's the thing. That's my main battle this week. Everything else has been smooth. Like, it's honestly, it's been a lovely week. It's just, yesterday, I think around this time, I was like, I'm legit, I'll tell you, I was on TikTok, this random like throwback episode of That's So Raven came on. I had not watched That's So Raven in like 20 years, so I'm watching, it's like, I close my eyes because I'm falling asleep, but then I'm hearing the theme song to That's So Raven, and I'm like, it was like if I was Raven, but I was having a vision not to the future, but to the past, and I was like, I was visualizing myself as a kid watching that on the Disney Channel, and it's like, what is going on here? Clearly, I was delirious. I mean, that's kind of the main thing of what was going on, but it like, yeah, it's been a trip. I think for the most part, so far, I don't feel any older than I did 2 or 3 years ago. I feel like maybe I was one of these people that turned 30 early. I think that when I hit 27, I was like, that's it, it's over. And I kind of like accepted it. And so when 30 came along, it was really no big deal. I gotta tell you, I don't know how it's gonna go for you, but I'm telling you how it went for me. Like, it ended up really not being that big of a deal. And this has been personally and professionally an incredible year for me. Despite the fact that, of course, the country that we live in is coming apart at the seams, and many people are being crushed intentionally by a malevolent individual in the White House. And to be fair, in Wall Street and in the CIA and the FBI and all kind of law enforcement, people collaborating with each other to, hide their asses from the Epstein files, right? Oh yeah, that's a thing. Anyway, it's like, as normal people and as a normal-ish person, I've been trying to like keep my head down, find my way through all of this crap. And I'm very happy with where things are at. I mean, would I like things to be better? Of course, but I do like the fact that through this show and through what we do, I think it's helped keep us honest. I think it's helped us keep an ear to reality, because even with people who we knew at one point, all these years later, it turns out they just weren't living in reality. And of course, when I say that, I'm referring to individuals who are just, seemingly normal and have done us no wrong. And I'm also referring to individuals who were at one point, let's just say, very entangled with our dealings and then went awry in a very unfortunate way. I think that's the nicest way I can say it, and without really giving it away. But those that know what I'm referring to. So that's, or maybe you don't. I don't know. Maybe that was too cryptic, but uh, in these 10 years that we have been doing this show, and we have been friends, I think the point of what I'm saying is you find out who your real friends are. And it's so wonderful that we've been in contact for that long, that we've made that effort to be in each other's lives. And it's helped my sanity a lot. I mean, I do wish that we did talk a little more, because we would talk all the time. It used to be that way. But of course, things have gotten far more complicated. I mean, we are, as they say, adulting, which requires us to like literally be in our own little worlds to do whatever we need to do. But I gotta tell you something. I think we're part of a privileged group, despite the fact that we're all in debt and we're being crushed, economically speaking. And we're in different kinds of debt, to be clear, which, you know, variety is the spice of life. So great for that. I think for the most part, when it comes to you and me and Peter, we've all been able to find quote unquote professions in which genuinely, I think we get a lot out of the work that we do. And I think we're privileged to be able to say that, because I think a lot of people who we know maybe can't ever say that. And that's really unfortunate. And that isn't to say that we're living the dream and we're breaking it in.
No.
And
I think we're just like in this mentality of like, we work hard and we work a lot, but that's not like the only thing we do, you know?
Yeah. Which is something that a lot of people do, is that they make that one thing their whole identity and their whole personality. And that's a mistake to do that. There's a lot more to a person than just one thing.
Yes. Which I am so grateful for, like, doing that on my own and realizing that on my own. And I mean, I guess maybe not on my own, just seeing everybody around me and just deciding for myself, I don't want that. I don't want to live my life that way. There's so much bad and dread and all these negative things going on. Like, I don't want to stew in that forever. It's fine to do it once in a while, because I think that helps us also realize, like, you know, that things are not okay and what are we going to do to change it and stuff like that. But we also have to look forward to the good parts and make an effort to make those good parts happen, you know?
We use each other, that's what friends do, to get through the hard times and then also to enjoy the good times. Some things that are going through my mind right now, I mean, we were all there when La La Land won Best Picture and then didn't. And of course, what happens, my friends are there to call me just so they can laugh in my face. And of course, I knew that was why they were calling, and I didn't pick up the goddamn phone, because I was really hurting, because that was rough. I mean, Trump won the election, and then of course La La Land loses Best Picture all within a couple of months, and I mean, that was a rough year. That was a rough year. I don't remember. I guess from the first time Trump won, I think Kyle ended up getting drunk, right? Or was that the second time? No, I don't even know. One of those times
It could have been both.
Well, I think
it was both, actually.
There were 3 elections. To be clear, he ran. There's 3 elections where he ran. So I'm not even sure if he was drinking when it ended up being that Biden one.
It could have been all 3. I wouldn't doubt it.
Honestly, and I wouldn't blame him. And I wouldn't blame him. So it's hard to track that, but I mean, when we all experienced Civil War together, when we experienced BVS or Suicide Squad together, that was something. Chadwick Boseman passing away.
That was crazy.
We recorded
on
that.
Air.
Yeah. Bob Iger coming back to the Disney company after they assassinated Bob Chapek.
Right before being on concert. Air.
Yeah. Yeah. The announcement of things like Disney Plus, where it's like, what's going on? Or the announcement of the Star Wars land, which was just like, yeah, a wonderful thing. Or us watching The Force Awakens. Even us watching Rogue One, which we all know that was memorable for one of us anyway. That was hilarious. Just so much. I mean, when it comes to like things that we recorded in real time, our reactions to the Rise of Skywalker first trailer, which was still one of the funnest things we ever did. Because last time I talked about it with Peter, he was like, "Why did we ever do that recording?" It was your idea. It was legitimately his idea, and I was like, "What do you mean? Why did we ever do it? You were the one that suggested it." And I'm happy that you did, because now we have that recording to listen forever for the rest of our lives. One of the funniest reactions, like you could hear the despair in his voice.
That's so funny.
Even earlier this year, like experiencing Andor together.
Oh, that's
like a new memory.
That was so fun.
When we experienced WandaVision together, that was something that we did that was this big deal to us. Like, that's a lot of years. That's a lot of moments. That's a lot of time that we continue to be present. And I'm just very thankful for that, because if it wasn't for you guys, I don't know who the hell I would I don't even know if I would even bother keeping up an interest. And I really do feel bad for people who don't have others to have that have what we have. As if it was a special thing. But it's like, I think what we do have is kind of rare, especially with how long it's been going, how long we've been keeping it going, how old we are now. Like most people at this point would have, and by the way, people are free to do whatever they want with their lives. And I mean, I know that sometimes we will judge certain things, but by this point, there is an expectation that a lot of people in society want to like obligate us to uphold, and it's just not something that we're interested in at this point. I think like we always have been, we continue to be people who are going to choose what is going to ultimately make us happy over anything else. And I think we have that in common. I don't think that doesn't mean that we don't struggle with society wanting us to conform, because that's just part of life, isn't it? But no, I think for a lot of reasons, and maybe the biggest one, because we've had each other in our lives, we have not been susceptible to the mass manipulation and indoctrination of the right-wing propaganda that has captured so many people these last 10 years. And seeing that happen to people who we once called friends or who we thought were decent at one point, I mean, it's just crazy to think, like, 2015, we were all like, wow, the world of tomorrow is here. And now this is just a repeat of 1930s Germany.
The world of yesterday.
And we're here, the world of yesterday, yeah. We're just, yeah. But yeah, it's just not as fun, specifically with Disney. It's just not, I mean, what are we going to say? I mean, I don't understand why they continue, this is going to be a rant at this point, I'm sorry. I don't understand why they continue to announce expansions when all they ever do is just take something away that's already there and pummel it over and build on top of that. Like, do you know what the definition of an expansion is? You have to make more room. You have to make more space. And as I said 10 years ago on that podcast, huge fan of DCA. Loved 2006 or 2007 when they announced we're going to make a $1.2 billion expansion of the park. And when it was completed in 2012, it was incredible. That may be the last great expansion. Because ever since then, it's been a series of like half measures or just flat out disappointments. And then right now, I mean, even the smallest things, like we were told there was going to be this wonderful Avatar experience, and they're going to fit it where Monsters Inc. is sitting right now, and then a little bit of the backlot. And I'm like, what do you mean? Build a freaking sky bridge, go across the Pixar Pier. There's the parking lot. Start building there. What are you waiting for? Why are we compromising it? I'm not a huge fan of Monsters Inc., but I think it's a great attraction, and it does not deserve to be plowed over. That attraction is very popular. It has remained very popular because you know what? It's a classic Disney dark ride in a theme park, California Adventure, that has hardly any dark rides. The whole idea of adding Coco into DCA is to get more dark rides. And what do? Oh, we'll just tumble over a different dark ride. No, that's not what you need to be doing. You had the space elsewhere. You're just continuously cheaping things out. You're cheapening out on everything. It doesn't gotta be, it does not have to be this way. And every time I think, oh, here's a positive step in the right direction when it comes to the park. Oh, well, here we go back again. Is it great that they added in a Star Wars projection show and the Galaxy's Edge? Yeah, of course. That should have been there from day one. Is it great that they're adding more characters? Yeah, that should have been there 5 fucking years ago. It's been 5 years since Galaxy's Edge. Hey, when's that next ride coming? Because you kind of need it probably at this point. And then of course I don't know. Getting enthusiastic about the future of Disney parks specifically has been depressing. I mean, we said that Disney movies themselves were going to be bad, and they have been. But I think we should, give credit where credit is due. I'm impressed with how bad they've been. I didn't think it would get this bad for the most part. Not all of them, but on the whole, they're struggling. They're struggling to make competent movies. They're not struggling to make money because apparently people like incompetent movies these days, which is also part of the problem. Media literacy is just not a thing anymore. Movie theater etiquette's not a thing anymore. It's just like, again, it just goes back to what we were talking about earlier. And Disney has just, look at how they've positioned themselves. Even in just the last 5 years. Bob Chapek, this clown, didn't want to touch the don't say gay thing. At the time, Bob Iger used that as a way to ostracize Chapek and worm his way back in. Then he did worm his way back in, only for him to do what Chapek did, but 10,000 worse. 10,000 times worse. Which is like, basically, with this audio sent to the investors, with polite language, he said, all those right-wing YouTubers, like Geeks and Gamers, you are 100% right, and we're going to stop doing that so we can make money again. He basically said that. And since then, they've been literally throwing a lot of their, and it has not gone unnoticed, specifically female or women of color talent under the bus. Nia DaCosta, Rachel Zegler. All the while, they basically settled a lawsuit with Gina Carano last week and basically put out this statement saying Gina Carano is always respected by her colleagues, and they've kowtowed to fascism, which is maybe even the worst sin. They've gone out on the wrong end of things when it comes to crushing their workers. Bob Iger did not walk away from those strikes looking good. Not at all. He and David Zaslav were holding hands like Thelma and Louise, not driving the car over the cliff, but driving the car over the actors. Yep. And all the talent people. And that isn't, of course, even touching on the horrendous decisions made when it comes to the management of their parks. So, Alexys, as the Disney High Priestess, as Peter coined that name for you, with all of that being said, how's that Disney working out for you these days? You know, it's complicated.
It is.
And I admit it, it's complicated because I will always love it. But these last 5 years, it's seemingly there's a lot less to love about it when so much of it is going down the road of helping out the bad guys. They're helping out the bad guys. Gina Carano was fired because she was being fucking offensive. And then they just say, never mind. You're cool. We're cool with you. What? Bob Iger, the head company guy says to those right-wing idiots, you're right. We should have less women. We should have less people of color. And you're right. We shouldn't focus so much on messaging. Meanwhile, I'm watching on TikTok That's So Raven yesterday, which was nothing but messaging all over the place. I'm just like, you did this for the entirety of your legacy. And, you know, Bob Iger isn't stupid. Like, he's using that as a valuable talking point to keep himself in power. Ultimately, though, I don't know what he's really here to accomplish except making a quick buck. And if that's all he's here to do, he's doing
it's like, but at the same time, like, I mean, I guess it is helping because, like you said earlier, people still go and watch these things. But we mentioned it before, but it was I can't remember what event was going on, but he like had threatened to stop filming in I think it was like Atlanta or something. I think it was over the bathroom situation, wasn't it?
Maybe.
It was something like that. Like, I don't understand how we went from that to where we are now. Because, okay, I mean, I guess at the end of the day, you could just say it's Trumpers and trying to control everything and them just being scared for whatever the fuck. Because I can't imagine them just being okay with doing these things and agreeing with these people that, you know, are only harming other people and making the movies for them. Because I would like to believe, but I guess, you know, we've been proven wrong. Maybe. That there is more people that want messages of... I mean, we saw what happened with Superman. You know what I mean? Like... I don't
go broke isn't a thing.
Like, really I truly don't understand. And like, I get that like the political climate of today is a lot more harsher than it was back then. But I don't know. I guess I just can't wrap my head around just people being horrible. Even to
I think ultimately the explanation that I have come up with is, and this kind of explains it all, because it all kind of is interlinked. Like, why are Disney's executives making so many bad decisions? Why are movie executives in general making bad decisions? Why are elected officials making terrible decisions in the Democratic Party, I should say? Why is it that all of the supposed smart people constantly are against any kind of improvement for working class people? Well, there it is. There is a fantasy that we were all raised on called the American Dream. Part of the American Dream that people don't talk about is that if you are a successful person in capitalism, you are smart and you are owed all the best that life has to offer. If you are successful, it's because you willed it. It's because you picked yourself up by your bootstraps, and it automatically makes you better than everybody else. And of course, the people who do make it to the top, or are more, I don't know who makes it, you're more just born into it. If you're at the top, you're going to buy that because, of course, you're going to think you're hot shit. But the lie of the American dream is that for the millions that have no hope of ever getting to the top, they buy into the mentality that, well, if this person's rich, it's got to be smart somehow because he keeps making money and he makes more money than me, so that makes him a better person, right? We have this delusion that is so rampant in our civilization that the people who are at the top, the people who own all the wealth, all the capital, and make all the decisions on behalf of society automatically makes them the smartest people in the room. That is a lie. And it is a lie that continues to be exposed again and again and again. And not just in one industry, whether it be in politics, whether it be in different institutions, the law firms, universities, whether it be companies, for example, even bringing it down to a much more micro level, like movie executives. The people who are in control of everything and are in charge of everything not only do not have any of our best interests at heart, they are the active participating villains. And they are the ones that cause their own problems because they are dumbasses. And once you begin to see that, then it all starts making sense. Bob Iger isn't stupid. It doesn't make him smart. Bob Iger really is only good at one thing: short-term success. He knows how to greenlight a project that's going to make a lot of money because that's how he has trained his audience to expect. And the audience at every turn has told them, yes, we're going to take that. No, we're not going to spend money to go watch Elio because that's an original movie and that's a streaming only. We're not going to waste money on that. Oh, but you're going to swallow and vomit back up Lilo and Stitch and it smells like shit? Yeah, we're going to buy a ticket to that. The Disney fandom, as far as I'm concerned, has lost all credibility. I don't give a fuck what any of them have to say anymore. Because they now that they've sold out, it's even more pathetic than that. At least the right is getting rich off of like making the country worse. Because they're doing it on purpose and they're getting paid off of it. Disney fandom is just like, I guess we'll go watch this.
Ooh, no new shiny thing.
Yeah. That's just how it is. Because ultimately, if we had competent people who were in charge, we wouldn't be where we are right now. That really is the only explanation. And I think ultimately, these last couple of years, I've been far more on it when it comes to just like calling it out. I mean, I want to say last week we talked about how, and this is a good encapsulation of this, Warner Brothers has had an incredible year. Most of their movies have been box office hits. They even broke a record of how many movies in a row opened over a certain amount of money. And yet, what do? Oh, because they basically pulled off this amazing scam. 2 years ago, the government approved this merger between WB and Discovery. We got a new company called WB Discovery. We gutted so many people's livelihoods for that merger, but we did it, and proudly so. And now what's going to happen? After all this success, they announce, you know what? We're going to be two companies again. And one will be called Discovery, and one will be called WB. But of course, we're splitting up. We don't need to hire all that much people. And in fact, just because we were able to make a lot of money this year, we still get to lay off 10% of our workforce. That really, I think, paints this big, beautiful picture. Capitalism is a fucking scam. And it always has been. Capitalism is nothing but socialism for the rich. For David Zaslav, for Bob Iger, it is a fucking handout. For Jeff Bezos, for Elon Musk. Capitalism works for them because it acts as socialism for them. If they ever fuck up, if they ever fail, the government's always here to bail them out. Anytime there's a Republican in the White House, and even, a Democrat, because both Biden and Obama didn't fight all that hard on the main thing. And what am I talking about? Tax cuts. Every president since Bush has passed enormous tax cuts, not to people like you or me. Elon Musk, Mark Zuckerberg, Sam Altman, Elon Musk, who is a horrible human being, is ushering in the ugliest car ever imaginable. I've got no issue with electronic or electric cars, sure, whatever, but fuck him. Mark Zuckerberg, who's like, please go away, go into a panic room and never come back. And then Sam Altman, the CEO of OpenAI, ChatGPT, bragging about how kids today will never be smarter than AI. As if that was a good thing.
Oh.
We have nothing but monsters who are making decisions that affect the rest of us. And yet, what do we do? Because we're culpable in this as well. What have our actions been in response to the madness, to the insanity? Go right ahead. Go right ahead and do whatever it is you're going to do. Continue to abuse us. Continue to stomp all over us. Continue to decide what is efficient, what is obsolete, what is good, what is bad, what is right, what is wrong. This week, these last 2 weeks, the Trump administration is trying to review the Smithsonian. And they're trying to make it a national debate about whether or not we are too hard on how we talk about how bad slavery was.
That's literally insane.
In 2000, I want to say 18, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. had its 5th season, and the main character said out loud, unironically, how are we still fighting Nazis today? That was 2018. This is 2025. We are literally having legit Nazism up and rising. And as I have said for years now, I know Kyle would get pissed off years and years ago, specifically when I would like introduce politics or whatever into the show. But I'm very happy that like Peter kind of like backed me up on that and was like, no, all of this is intertwined. You cannot talk about, like, I think there was a scene in K-pop Demon Hunters. We cannot like address this one issue without addressing the whole
system.
And that the whole system is rotten. It is corrupt, and it is intended and designed to not work for us. And yet, so many of the people who are being crushed by the system today allow themselves to be manipulated by bad faith actors to engage in the culture wars. And they keep winning because, and look, this year, there was one person that cut through that noise and won a seismic election. This year, by the way, we've had a president that has been working around the clock nonstop to make our lives worse. The country already sucked. He's taking it and trying to like destroy it as much as he can.
I've actually never seen like a president in our lifetime work harder than he has down. Like, he wasn't even trying this hard the last time, you know?
He's a petty bitch at heart. And he kept tabs. He kept tabs on all the people who said shit about him. And he's just, honestly, he's crossing names off of his shit list. That's all this presidency was ever going to be. On some level, I respect it. Because,
honestly?
like, I mean...
You know what?
The thing is, like, I wish we had someone like that on our side. I wish we had someone like that that would do Trump, but in reverse, for actual good policies. And yes, demonize, belittle, and berate the wrong people. But you're right. I've never seen a president work this hard. And he is. But of course, what do the people in the media scream and like, oh no, about? Not anything Trump ever did, But we got a Muslim socialist about to become the mayor in New York City, and all of a sudden, oh my God, is he going to get people out on the main square and hang us? He's trying to feed people? Whatever will we do? What is this country coming to? Do you see what I mean? And they're not even hiding it anymore.
Yeah.
Anytime we got somebody who's trying to actually change things meaningfully from a materialistic standpoint for working people, they are immediately identified, and it's all hands on deck. Both the Republicans and the Democrats and their friends in the media lock hand in hand to bulldoze that person. We have a literal fascist president, and CNBC could care less. Even though he's already like destroyed the economy a million ways to one. Whether it be the taxes themselves, the cuts to Medicaid, the people he's deporting or flat out putting in alligator Alcatraz. Oh yeah, we got concentration camps now.
Yeah.
So that's cool. But also the tariffs that make no sense. Like, and then here's the thing. I saw a report this week that a lot of the companies for a couple of months now have been absorbing the costs of the tariffs. And I'm like, hold up. You companies, I don't remember ever hearing you people absorb the costs when COVID was happening or when Biden was president. So when we have a Democratic president, you were like, great, we get to charge people more. But when we have Trump as the president, you're literally going out of your way to shield him by covering him and absorbing the costs. But then doesn't that expose a lie? You mean to tell me you could have absorbed the costs all this time when you chose not to? Oh, yeah. Because you did that on purpose, didn't you? Too many people went on TV and said they voted for Trump because their lives were easier 4 years ago when he was president. And that's all the effort they put into researching their vote. You have to know fundamentally that we live in a country in which the powers that be are always constantly trying to bamboozle you and use you for their interests, not yours. Too many people are captured by corporations. They are captured by political parties, and they cannot think for themselves. And that was before AI was a thing. Were the conditions, I guess, better 4 years ago? Yeah. I wonder why. I wonder why things are worse now. I'm literally like, my head's hurting just even like talking about that. But we are literally the only show that I know of that even like bothers to talk about both sides of this coin at once. Because I even asked this question. Why is it how there could be a million articles about how WB is laying off like 10% of its workforce, but none of them are going to point out the hypocrisy in that? Or how there was this like, lately, what was it? Skydance merged with Paramount.
Mm-hmm.
And there were a lot of articles about that. I wonder how many of those articles mentioned that because of this merger, thousands of people will probably lose their jobs. I wonder how many reporters that are hired by these big papers took the time to even put that in their articles. Because don't make any mistakes about it. It is intentional that that kind of information is left off.
Mm-hmm.
I've worked with these people. I know how they think. Many of these people don't at all consider themselves to be shepherds of education. I literally heard it from the horse themselves. It is not our job to educate the public. We are here to just report the news.
Interesting.
And the whole time I was thinking to myself, the public doesn't know anything. So you are literally here, in my view, to educate the public on what is true and what is not. And because the journalists who work for these corporations have abdicated all sense of objectivity, they're like, the facts and reality support one political party, and the other gets left out in the cold because they engage with fantasy. And yet, if you go on TV and you watch those legacy media outlets, you think, seems like there's a really good argument to both sides. No, there's not. There's not. But notice what both sides agree on. Anytime a socialist comes on and says, I want to give people free food and free healthcare, then they join hand in hand to crush that individual. And they run stories like, look at how he's eating his food. You really want to vote for that guy? Meanwhile, literally Trump just enacted a bill that's robbing kids of their school lunches, and you say nothing about it. These people on Wall Street are trying to find a way to get Andrew Cuomo, the disgraced former governor who has been accused by 13 women of sexual harassment, elected New York mayor. Andrew Cuomo, who was responsible for forcing seniors back into nursing homes during COVID and led to their death. Andrew Cuomo, who apparently is also in the Epstein files. And Andrew Cuomo, who literally called Trump to help him beat Mamdani. That's the person they want to win over Zoran Mamdani, who is just trying to feed people and make public transportation free and freeze the rent.
And you know what?
When you...
Guess who's gonna win? Because at the end of the day, we live in a world where we have a criminal as our president. P. Diddy got nothing. Like,
and if he did, Trump would have pardoned him.
Exactly.
like he really had nothing at stake. Ghislaine Maxwell, who was the partner and crime associate of Jeffrey Epstein, might very well be pardoned by President Trump in order to keep her quiet about Trump's involvement in Jeffrey Epstein's businesses. If and when that happens, oh my God, the coverage of what that's going to look like. It's like if O.J. Simpson somehow were still alive and in prison, Trump would have pardoned him. Why? Just because.
Yep.
I got to be the president that pardoned O.J. Aren't I cool? Yeah. So yeah.
Great.
It's
guys.
Yeah.
Having
great.
A
Everything's
blast.
going great. Yeah. I don't know if I have the words to continue, because that was just like it. It's just insane to me, honestly.
It is.
But thankfully, I think like we have each other to get through it, and it's not as if any of this is really surprising. I mean, again, we kind of already know how it's going to go. Everything that has happened has been like, yeah, I could have called that, and I did, actually. We did call it, and then here it is. So, until somebody can come up here and, like, bring hope back into the world, well, we're just trying to, like, find our way through it. And thankfully, because we do mostly talk about the movies, there are a lot of good movies that come out. And we get to enjoy them. and that means we get to talk about them. One of the things that before we get to any of that, I wanted to ask you this, Alexys, and we're gonna pivot now, to this and hopefully maybe this will be the button on it because and I don't really know if you've been listening the last couple of weeks on the show because we've had a couple of ongoing discussions. But one of the things, and I know you've noticed this, and I know maybe if you've heard us talk about this, but one of the things that was really weird was, yeah, K-pop exploded and Elio bombed. None of that was a surprise. Well, the extent to which K-pop did explode online was a big surprise, and it is a genuine phenomenon, and Elio was a genuine disaster. On the day that we're recording this, Elio made $150 million worldwide. The budget that Disney is floating out, which is untrue. I think the budget was more like 200 or over, but the reported budget is 150. So the budget was 150 and it grossed 150. But that's not even true because, of course, they redid the movie like 2 times. That it's a lot more expensive. So that's not even anything. I didn't realize this, but I guess Elio and K-pop Demon Hunters came out on the same day, one in theaters and one on Netflix. And I guess because of that, there's been a lot of videos. If you go and put Elio on YouTube, you're going to have nothing but like videos of people comparing Elio to K-pop Demon Hunters. And I'm like, whoa. What are we doing that? Why are we doing this? Because there was a narrative that people wanted to latch onto. There's this like narrative that like, oh my God, Sony animation is cutting edge. It's the future of animation, and Pixar has fallen, and we're not caring or interested anymore. Which to me, I think is a representation of bad faith because on the whole, Pixar has had a great last 5 years with some exceptions here or there. But people have the wrong idea about that. And then people ran with it without even watching Elio because Elio is genuinely a good movie, but they're treating it like a bad movie. And yeah, you can think that K-pop is better. That's fine. But why are we comparing these two movies that are incomparable? One is a musical action movie.
Yeah.
The other is kind of like this quieter, like, I mean, I'm not even
just
sure
because they're animated, but like, but this, and it's not a new thing because look, this has happened the last couple of years too. What did what's his name say?
Who?
The guy that's doing Frankenstein. Oh, the Pinocchio
Guillermo
guy.
del Toro?
Yeah, what did he say? It's not a...
About animation?
Yeah.
It's not a genre, it's a medium. Yeah. It's not a genre, it's a medium. And yet people are acting like it's like a genre just because they're both animated movies. Elio and K-pop have nothing to do with each other. I don't even know how you would want to compare those things. And it reminds me of... But by the way, this is not a unique thing. This has continued to happen, especially when we have like... When the Academy Awards happen, and we have like in the last couple of years, there've been some pretty like interesting races. But I don't think it's fair to compare two different kinds of movies. Like, okay, like let's look at this. Wild Robot and then Flow. Both great, not the same. Not even a little bit at all. The year before that, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. The Boy and the Heron. Not the same at all. Then the year before that, Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio. Turning Red. Not the same at all. And yet here's the thing. I love K-pop Demon Hunters as a movie. I have issues, but I love the movie. I genuinely do. And every time I watch it, I'm like, this is awesome. But I think to me, I realized from the first 2 minutes why people loved it. That is a fast-paced movie. And it is jam-packed. And by the way, that's not a knock against it. But it is jam-packed with so much happening on screen. And it has the same kind of style as Spider-Verse and Mitchell's versus the Machines. And that's awesome. And I love that look of animation. It's great. Don't even get me started on that. But people are going to easily enjoy a faster paced movie that has more variety of elements going on than movies that are far more simpler. But just because a movie is simpler does not make it automatically inferior. And that doesn't have really anything to do with preference. When I saw The Boy and the Heron the last time in theaters, this was after it already won the Academy Award. And I literally overheard people in the background was like, yeah, this one over Spider-Verse, which, hey, that's a fine opinion to have, but Boy and the Heron is a very different movie than Spider-Verse. But do you notice the theme here? Boy and the Heron is a lot slower. Across the Spider-Verse is not slow at all. It is hitting you with 1,000 things at once. This last year, what won the Academy Award for Animated Feature? It was not Wild Robot, and if it did, it would have been a wonderful winner, but it was Flow, which is a lot more meditative and quiet. A beautiful movie. I don't know if you watched Flow, but it is entirely devoid of dialogue.
Mm-hmm.
There is no dialogue in the movie. It is just animals trying to survive a massive flood. That's the story. It is a beautiful movie. There was not a single word of dialogue, but I was entranced in what was going on. Just because it's a different kind of movie does not make it worse. But my point is, movies like Mitchell's vs. the Machines, Across the Spider-Verse, Wild Robot, Demon Hunters, all great movies. But because they have the right kind of things that they're scratching, it's going to make people think automatically. Like and the thing with like comparing like Demon Hunters to Elio. Elio is an intimate story about this little lonely weird boy that wants to leave the earth because he feels so unloved. And you compare that to K-pop Demon Hunters, that is all kinds of different genres at once. It is the medium of animation. It's got action sequences, and it's a musical. And it's got like a girl band, boy bands. It even has like this like X Factor, American Idol thing going on in there. It's like there are so many different kinds of elements in K-pop that it is just ridiculous to compare these two movies. And if we really want to have a conversation of comparison, what you pointed out to me a couple weeks ago was actually quite the contrast that I myself didn't even think of. Okay, if we're going to compare movies to each other, why don't we talk about movies that maybe are going towards similar things and have a similar vibe? If you want to compare a Pixar film to K-pop, Elio, might I suggest, is not the movie you want to put forth. Perhaps it's Turning Red. And that, I think, is a conversation many people don't want to have, because Turning Red got the shaft when it really had a similar vibe to K-pop. But I think this is also the other elephant in the room. I guess for whatever reason, a lot of the audiences that go and watch animated movies are adults now, but they don't want to watch animated films that are about children or are geared towards children, which is insane to me, honestly. Because like if you think about Elio, Turning Red, and Luca, they all have like children as the leads of those movies, and I guess, and you notice how the way that certain people talk about them, they're clawing for different reasons why they don't hit the same way.
But they speak.
I wonder why.
Yeah.
Everybody to everything.
Yeah.
But again, that's media illiteracy, right? They can't read. They literally can't read a movie. If they would have that ability, they wouldn't be making these complaints. So it's like, and Turning Red, by the way, it was done dirty a million ways to one. By the way, do I think Turning Red has better songs than K-pop Demon Hunter? No. I do think Turning Red is better than K-pop. I think Turning Red is as close to perfect as you can get when it comes to executing what that story is going for. K-pop, I think kind of I don't know if you heard me talk about this, but I think
No.
it kind of
What I heard you say that you have some things against it,
Okay.
but like I didn't hear what they were.
You watched the whole thing, right?
The movie?
Already or no? No,
I mean,
most
I
of it.
know what
You-
happens.
Okay.
I was like watching it but not paying attention so much. I'm gonna go watch it at the movies. Everybody calm down.
By
But, like, I know
way,
what
are there still
happens.
tickets available for that? We need to check on them before we leave because
all the times are
gotta-
still available.
okay, we gotta check on that.
I know. I was
I
checking
want to
today.
make sure because I saw a story where there was like some sold out theaters already, and I'm like, okay. I don't think you realize it until like you think about it afterwards, but like because there's so much happening, and the music is so good, and the characters are so good, but there's this thing that happens by the last act of the movie, when a reveal happens and all the falling action and the climax. Things happen that sort of kind of get in the way of what the message of the movie is supposed to be.
Okay.
But I don't think it's something you actually kind of like think about it because it's cool what's happening on screen and it looks and sounds amazing. But ultimately, I think they missed an opportunity for something that was going to be a better ending. Like, without giving too much away, I feel like what the ending was going to be which was how the Legend of Korra ended. The Legend of Korra ended with like a legit new path going forward.
Okay.
It was a repudiation of the separation that came before, and it embraced this new union. Whether for worse or better, it was going to go forward and see where this thing went to coexist. That's what I thought it was going to go, and then it doesn't do that. And the only thing that I can rationalize as well, I guess maybe in their heads they thought they were going to address this in a sequel, but then here's the other kicker. They took out 40 minutes.
Oh, I did see that there was like some extra scenes, but I didn't realize how much. Dang.
They took out almost a whole hour from the movie was supposed to be 3 hours long, and Netflix made them cut it down. And I think you do feel that because some of the characters, while they do make an impact still, are a little bit underdeveloped. And I do think a big part of why the ending is a little bit lesser than it would be is because I think they really cut a lot of things that were necessary. And here's my thinking as well. Netflix, you've got like the biggest movie of the year so far. Release the cut. Release the cut. What are you waiting for? You really think people wouldn't watch a longer version?
Aren't they doing a show now?
I didn't hear about a show. I heard that they're already exploring 2 sequels and a live action remake.
A live action remake. I heard it was a show.
And 2 sequels.
But
no, they're exploring 2 sequels, a part 2 and a part 3, and a live action remake. I don't know about a show. I haven't heard about a show. I mean, a show would be cool.
I prefer the movie.
But I prefer the movie because, like, the songs.
Yeah.
You know, that's part of, like, the whole appeal of it is, like, the music is a big part of it, and that would obviously be, like, sacrificed if you did a show about it. So I wouldn't want that personally. But I do think, like, the more I think about the movie and what it left out is what keeps it from being, like perfect for me. And that's kind of like, this is the weird thing with me. I feel like some people were like, when they would watch Elio, they would be like, you know what? I can kind of like feel as if things were kind of moved around and taken out. I feel that way with K-pop. Like, I really do feel like things were moved around and taken out because that actually was the case.
Yeah.
But like, look, despite all those things, like the movie still wins you over because there's just so much more goodwill that it has already built up within the animation, the characters, the writing, the dialogue, the songs, the action. I mean, it just does so much, and it's such a joyous movie to watch that it for a lot of people, and it's their right to feel this way. It just does not matter to them. But that's kind of the thing that that bothered me a little bit, was like, wait a minute, what? Um, yeah, it is a little frustrating because I feel like there are similarities to Frozen. I can see a lot of similarities between Elsa and Rumi, the main character in K-pop, but I feel like along the way to get to the end point, they kind of lost control of the car a little bit in what it was trying to say. Because I'm trying to think to myself, okay, what is the message this movie is getting behind?
Yeah. The parts that I did like pay attention to, I was a little like, oh, okay, we're here. Oh, okay, they took this route, and like this is like me not paying attention fully, not like watching it all of it. But like the progression of the movie did feel a little like, oh. And then I didn't see the ending, but I know what happens in the ending. So that was a little bit like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. There was this moment where a character that I really liked. Oh. What?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
All right.
Sure. Where it's like, oh man, you know, you had me, I was about to fly, and then, oh, okay. Yeah, the bottom doesn't fall out from under it. You're still kind of with it, but it was like, okay. All right.
Yeah.
I mean, there'll be sequels, so I guess maybe they'll have an opportunity, but I also would say it's like, if they were able to fully animate, even if they weren't able to fully animate, if I were Netflix, I would seriously think that there would be actual like incentive to get that full extended cut.
They need to release this on DVD. Like,
yes,
people are going to go out there and buy that in like bundles.
Like, I'm sorry, this is the real release the Snyder cut. Like, fuck Justice League or whatever. Like, that was nothing. Like, this is a real phenomenon.
Mm-hmm.
This is one of those that deserves to have the full thing out there. It's just like not comparable. Which, oh my god, I'm excited to see that in theaters. I'm so happy that it's actually.
I know. I'm so
and people are gonna go watch it.
We're gonna get glow sticks because we don't have the little thing. Have you seen videos of people like going? And it's a sing along.
No,
I know it's really excited. Yeah, you don't understand. Yeah. It has been on repeat.
I've never.
Like, every song is in my top songs right now on Spotify. Like,
I mean, you and everybody else in this country. I've seen the numbers.
I'm obsessed.
There's no other people that's releasing music apparently. So it's like, I mean, I don't know. People were the only artist that I saw that had a big release lately that people were kind of divisive about was Justin Bieber.
Oh.
But if you like his music, like his music. If you don't, you don't. But I haven't really heard much about like music, and I guess like nothing beats a J2 Holiday. I guess that's the song of the summer, which is just like sad.
I thought it was an ad.
I'm happy.
I didn't know it was a song.
But well, it's not really a song, but it is an ad. It's just that's the one that people know the most because of TikTok and everything. That's what I'm saying. Like, there really wasn't a song of the summer this year, which is very, very sad. But I mean, at least the K-pop Demon Hunter soundtrack is like, it is kind of a perfect soundtrack. I do wish there were one or two more songs because of how good the writing is on this. Like, I wanted more out of
more songs.
Yeah, I do think that you could have given us maybe one more Saja Boys song. I don't know, like, like it was like
in demon form.
But yeah, that's definitely yes, that was definitely exciting, and it will be exciting watching that on the big screen. On the flip side of like production stuff going on, this week on digital, Pixar released Elio. And you know what's interesting? Like, I never asked you about like anything about the expose that got like reported 2 months ago about, so basically Adrian Molina was removed from the project after test screening audiences said that they would not pay money to see this in the theater. The expose led with, and most people online are talking about the fact that, through the Disney mantra now, they ended up dwindling a lot of Elio's identity, which really aligned with Molina's LGBTQ identity. And I don't deny that that's part of what happened. They were probably sanding off those edges every step of the way. The details that I saw were that, they were going to have, like, I guess, posters of boys in his bedroom or whatever. I don't know. But it wasn't that, like, out there, I don't think. But we don't know, right? So all that stuff happened. And I guess the expose was like, well, the main thesis was like, because it was too gay and it was too queer, they had to go and like do these reworking. And I think that's really, to me, I found that to be bogus. Again, I don't deny that happened. Like, obviously it did. And Molina left in large part because of that. But clearly, Pete Docter and the people at Pixar didn't think the movie was working. One reason or the other. So Molina stepped down because they were basically pushing him out, but they gave him Coco 2 instead. So I guess he was able to like live with it and stay with Pixar because he's making Coco 2 right now.
It's such an interesting thing. Like,
yeah, go ahead.
I wish I was like a fly in the wall during that whole situation, because everything is so like, I feel like everything that they're saying is true, but how it went about,
not the full story.
Yeah, like it's so, I don't know, like the fact that what's her face left in solidarity to him. Like,
yes, it
what
was
happened?
America Ferrera.
Yeah,
America Ferrera was supposed to voice Olga. At that point, the mom. Then it was replaced with Zoe Saldana, who then Olga was an aunt, not the mom at that point. This is the thing, because it came out on digital. They did release a couple of like featurettes on the release, and it had the final directors Domi Shi and Madeline Sharifian, and they were talking about like deleted scenes. And this is interesting. From what I've been able to gather, and what I've been able to find out from people who are doing a lot more research than I am of this, there were 3 different versions of the movie. There was the first version by Molina, which was almost completely animated, which was probably from that first teaser that came out 2 years ago. Then there was a 1.5 version of it where he was trying to make improvements, I think, based off of initial feedback. And then the final version, which is we saw in theaters, which is definitely the Domi Shi cut, that I would call it, basically, of Elio. Based on, and the thing is, what they did with this release, and I'm surprised they actually did, considering the scandal, I guess you could say, but they released deleted scenes from all 3 versions of the movie.
I think that they're trying to cover their butts over article.
Over any of that, maybe. And maybe to some people, it definitely creates more nuance to it, because like, based on the information that I could gather and I shared with you before we did this recording, it definitely gives off the vibe that all of the versions of the movie were very different. Like, it just like wasn't all, I mean, some things carried through, like the designs of the characters, and then maybe some things were like moved around, but like when they were initially trying to rework the movie, apparently a lot of the movie was just Elio like completing like tasks and challenges on behalf of like the ambassador aliens as a way for him to prove himself to be a part of the Communiverse. Like, that was most of the movie. And I'm thinking to myself, really? That was the movie? Okay. All right. And then they say that in the original version, there was no interest in being abducted by aliens. And then it kind of was evolving through I mean, I sent you all the stuff. Like, it's kind of hard to make heads or tails like of what. Like, it's very different, right? Like, there are some scenes that were fully animated. That was like, there was this scene where like they're doing a challenge at the camp that he's in, or boot camp or whatever he was, but I guess it was the clone. It wasn't actually the real Elliot. It was a weird scene that felt like I mean, you tell me what you think, honestly, about all this different footage that, I mean, I'm happy it's out there. That way we can actually like
I mean,
get a feel for what it was.
I don't know. It's all fishy. And
maybe it always will be.
Yeah. It's so strange. I don't know. It just sucks because we have the version where like he was kicked off for XYZ reason, which could be very much true, especially like looking at the recent history that they've had. But then if like it actually wasn't good, I feel like that's just cover for them to look good in some way, which is also very icky. But like if it actually wasn't good, why didn't they just say that? I don't know. But I mean, I guess like also the fact that he has stayed on.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
Like, considering what happened, like, I mean, from what I understand, like, and it felt this way, that Elio was like literally supposed to represent like Melina's childhood, you know, and a lot of his real life experiences. Like, this was his auteur movie.
Yeah.
Let's not get it twisted. And Pixar essentially forced him out of it. You'd think there would be a lot of bad blood. Instead,
exactly,
he stayed on. Maybe, but to be fair though, Coco 2 is kind of a sweet deal. If you're like Molina, like, right? Like, hey,
I feel, I don't know.
From a monetary standpoint, I mean. From a monetary standpoint, yes, it's like, hey.
That's true. But if, I don't know. I want to believe that if like he's the type of person to rightfully so be insulted by that, like,
why would he stay?
Exactly. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's so hard to like. This is to me one of the most fascinating like stories, maybe that we've ever talked about, because like everywhere you look at it, you're doubting yourself what really happened.
Yeah.
Because I mean, like we don't know all the facts, but all the information that we know is so
contradictory. Yeah.
It's so, I want to read a book about this because it's genuinely so interesting, like what happened. And I'm trying in my mind to think about what was going on here. And I do think maybe it's a combination of all things being true and untrue at the same time in this really weird way. I think ultimately, maybe Melina just wasn't able to get it together. And Pete Docter, who I trust deeply as a creative, was probably trying to let him down, like, hey, this is not working. Mm-hmm. We need to continue to fix this. At the same time, I'm sure there were executives having their back channels from Pixar and Disney that were getting the basically don't ask, don't tell rule being sent down to them, which is like, hey, we're trying to tone down our messaging in all of our movies here, so be on the lookout for that, just so you know. So I think I find it difficult to swallow that Pete Docter had the intent of diminishing a lot of the messaging that allude, because there was ecological messaging, there was LGBTQ pro messaging. I don't think that's what those were the parts that he considered bad. I think he was coming at it from like, the story isn't working, we have to make improvements. At the same time, there probably were executives who were trying to kill two birds with one stone, and like, hey, Disney wants us to tone things down on some things, even though they won't say officially, so we're going to go ahead and do that at the same time. But then again, they also did handle it weird. Like, after, apparently, it didn't work the first time. They gave him another opportunity to rework it. That still wasn't working after the second time. So they basically told him, take some time off. But when he came back, they had hired somebody else to co-direct without telling him or asking him if he would be okay to the idea of a co-director being on his team, and he didn't care for that. But to be fair, though, I mean, he himself was a co-director. That's how he started. He was a co-director to Lee Unkrich on Coco. He didn't want to have a co-director, and at that point, they were making a lot of changes to what he wanted to do with it, so he just decided to decline and leave the project together. But interestingly, not leave the company. And then around a couple of weeks to a month or so later, they were like, Bob Iger's making us do Coco 2. Adrian, do you want to take that on since you co-directed the first one and we kind of like did you dirty here? Maybe do you want to do this one? And I guess he said yes, and he's working on it right now. I mean, that's what I'm imagining more or less is kind of what happened. This is how business works, and I hate that that's how it is, but like, they should have just told Molina up front, hey, we're going to bring on somebody else.
Yeah.
The way that they literally sent him away, and then when he came back, they were like, surprise, we got a co-director. You don't do people like that. I don't believe in doing people that way. So that was wrong. And if I were him, I would have walked and said, have a nice life.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
you know, like,
I don't know. Maybe they just want scandal when it's not even that serious.
Honestly,
and we're making
but it could be that way. But there were some Pixar creatives that were pissed off enough to go and talk to the Hollywood Reporter and give them this information, which was interesting. But my thing is this: I don't know. Considering the different versions that I've seen of certain scenes and information of what characters we're going to be doing, I don't know. I've always just kind of felt that the version we got was the best we were going to get because, no disrespect to Adrian Molina, but I think Domi Shi is the real rising star of that studio. Because with the short film Bao and with Turning Red, I think she was the magic sauce that was able to bring it home in the end. And by the way, she was able to do that in only a year's worth of time. I honestly do think it's her. Because I think it speaks to how desperate they were that they brought her on. Because this is how it went. The original plan was to continue having, because they wanted to keep Adrian, but not enough to the point where they actually gave him the courtesy of letting him know, we're going to have a co-director. Madeline Sharifian this is her first like co-direction anything on a feature. What happened? The light?
Yeah.
No, it's okay.
It's okay.
Adrian didn't care for that, and they did not want to have Madeline Sharifian do the whole thing by herself because she's newer to this. So that's when they brought on Domi Shi, which to me, doesn't that just communicate that the Pixar branch actually does consider Turning Red a success at some level, that they wanted Domi Shi immediately to help fix this movie? And by the way, she did fix this movie, contrary to popular belief. So it is just a fascinating story, and I don't know which way to tell you, like what's. But my gut tells me, I think, despite the shitty practices that allowed for it to happen, I'm gonna choose to believe that the movie that we have right now was the best version we were ever gonna get. As shitty as that sounds to say, because I mean, usually what would happen, the original creator was fucked and screwed. And then the final version was a watered down nothing of a movie. And some executives at Pixar called the LEO final version nothing of a movie. What movie did you watch? Because that's not what we watched. I mean, they were saying that the final version had nothing to say. It had no message, no identity. You didn't watch it, did you? By the way, I can also tell on like reviewers channels, I can tell when they've watched the movie and when they haven't, because the ones that haven't watched it refer to it as Elio.
Stop.
No, God. Seriously.
No. Well, I can't blame them. We've had people on here say.
Well, I mean, to be fair to the people on here, they've actually like seen and they've known of certain things. I think the people on YouTube that I saw were trying to pass off as if they knew something about the movie, but referring to I know. Elio, Ulani, who's gonna keep track of those things, you know? Like
Oh God.
Oppenheimer.
No.
Yeah, that's so it's like, look, this whole summer we've been talking about these two things because like they say something about where the future of animation is going, and I don't think Disney's helping.
Yeah.
I don't think Disney's helping at all. And I also do want to say, like, hey, K-pop is going to make serious bank this weekend, but like, I don't believe that this was going to be a hit if they had gone straight to theaters, because people clearly have a preference of watching animated films.
They would have.
Well, look, let me clarify. How do you determine if it's a hit or not? Because you could say maybe it can make a profit, and if it does make a profit, again, we're talking about a what if scenario, right? But if it did come out in theaters first, and if it did make money, let's just say 200, 300 worldwide, that's good for a movie of this scale to gross that money. It would be an amazing success if it did make that much money. And that would be a big hit. But would it be the phenomenon that it instantly was?
I think it would have been
debuted
the phenomenon first. Because I don't think this part I did hear, and I was asking David about you guys talking about it. I don't think you guys understand the level of
about K-pop.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like sold out concerts every time. Like, I don't think you guys fully understand the level of popularity that K-pop has had in the US.
You're telling me that if this had come out in theaters, your position is it would have basically been as big of a hit or along the same lines as Taylor Swift the Eras Tour.
I don't think
or bigger
that big, but around there. I believe that. Especially because but I do think that like if they would have marketed it, that would have been necessary. If they just like straight just put it out there, no, obviously.
But that's the thing. Here's the thing. If they did release it, remember this is Sony Animation. In my head, trying to like, okay, factor in what you tell me. Do I think there would have been K-pop fans that would have like gone and seen it no matter what? Probably, definitely, right?
I think that K-pop, there's more K-pop fans than there's Swifties. So that's what I'm saying. If they would have promoted this movie, I think that this movie would have been.
But that's the caveat, right?
Giant.
You're saying if they would have promoted it, but do you think they would have? Because this is what happened. Sony got got $20 million up front to basically sell this thing to Netflix. If they were that ready to sell it, were they ever really going to really spend the money to market this? That's what I'm saying. It's like, I don't know. But like, I don't think they would have.
I believe that if they would have banked on this movie from the beginning, it would have. But because they didn't, like, we're in the situation that we are now. But I do believe if they would have marketed this movie, if they would have believed in this movie to begin with, it would have been a big hit.
I would say it would have been a big hit eventually. Maybe even instantaneously for some people, but I just think they're there's a lot to be said for a huge swath of audiences that don't consider original animated movies as a legitimate use of the big screen experience. If I'm thinking about how Sony would have handled this, maybe at best $20 million opening weekend, which is what Elio did. And maybe it gets to $100 million at the domestic box office. Maybe it does even bigger worldwide. If I'm gaming out the odds. But truly, everybody now knows what this movie is. Because the minute that it dropped on Netflix, it was an international phenomenon. It was available to the entire planet at the same time with one click. And I feel because obviously more people are on Netflix than go to a theater, that is what allowed it to become an instant phenomenon. But when it comes to the initial run or the initial weeks or months of its box office run, it would be hard for me to visualize it being the sensation that it ended up being because it was available for everyone to watch again and again and again at the same time on Netflix. Now, if it had gone in theaters, it probably wouldn't have made that much money, but people would have loved it so much that it would have eventually found a fandom of people, whether it be the K-pop fandom or just general animated fandoms or movie fandom. And then whenever it would have gone to Netflix, it would have been a big hit then.
That's a big chunk of people. Again, I just don't think you guys understand. Like, the fact that K-pop has seeped into Coachella. Coachella is like the mainstream music festival. The fact that there have been multiple years now where there's K-pop bands or whatever the hell, like, that is massive. I saw somebody compare K-pop to boy bands in general. To One Direction, to Backstreet Boys, the Beatles. Like, that's how big K-pop is. So, again, I think it would have been at the same level as, like... What is that? What is that?
Check your phone.
Oh no. Who did this?
Check your phone. Sorry to interrupt. It's an interesting point, Alexis. I don't agree, but I don't disagree what you say about K-pop.
So Peter shaved his head and now he got inspired?
Yeah, by the way, did we ever talk about that on the show?
No, I didn't even know until I saw him in person.
Neither did we. Neither did. Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that must have been a shock for you. You should have brought it up. I have yet to bring it up to him. I'm not. It's like the elephant in the room, but I'm just not. I don't know. He had never once cut his hair the entire 10 years.
I mean,
then all of a sudden he has a
big
shaved
changes
head.
This year.
Yeah, he did.
But yes,
yeah.
I'm excited to watch the movie.
Yeah, I am too. Look, I don't mean to dismiss the K-pop people, because I do acknowledge that there are a lot of people in the K-pop fandom, but I do question how many of those people care about animation, original animation, and to spend money at a theater when studios have been training people to not care about original animation in the movies, unless it's a sequel or a reboot or something. That's the part that leaves me a bit dubious about how it would have done initially. But eventually, it probably would have been a hit no matter what. So I think that's just kind of where we're at with that. Okay, sorry for the that hideous interjection. It was just like there was a cryptic message, and I had to look at what it was, and I don't know what to do with it, quite frankly. So we're gonna move on. Alexys, last week, David and I were talking about how surprised we were about Freakier Friday. Freakier Friday to me is probably my favorite Disney live action movie in 12 years. Now, in one breath, is that saying something? It's been a lot of bad movies since then. But legitimately, I thought this was a great movie. I was like, what is this? The first 5 minutes, I was thinking to myself, okay, here we go. We're gonna watch a Disney Channel movie. We're gonna watch maybe a Disney Plus movie, and it's gonna be like, hopefully, it won't be too bad. I went into a lot of reasons for what I thought about it, but ultimately, this felt, and you can tell in every process of making this movie that all the people involved gave a shit and did the best they could. And I think they not only were able to produce one of the best comedy sequels of all time, I'm going to go ahead and say that now, but I think legitimately one of the best sequels I've ever seen. Like, I really thought it had no right being as good as it did in comparison to the company that it has in this era of Disney filmmaking. This was a movie where people involved were thinking and executing, why don't we actually make a movie for a change? Oh my God. And they thought to themselves, why don't we make a funny script? And why don't we cast talented young actresses? And why don't we go and shoot outside and make it look even better?
Did you watch her video?
Yeah. So, I gotta tell you, is this the best movie in the world? Probably not. But I do think that if you are part of the generation that grew up with this version of Freaky Friday with Lindsay Lohan and Jamie Lee Curtis, it is hard to think of a better way to do a legacy sequel in the way that they did it. Comedies are back, man. And watching Freakier Friday in a theater really reminded me of like what importance it really is to have people laughing together at the movies again. This was not one of these things where like you have like, embarrassing, like awkward chuckles here and there. There are legit belly laughs in here because it is actually really humorous. The writing definitely sets it up, but it is the execution of the main 4 lead actresses that really sells it. Like once the swap happens, it is just like going at a mile a minute and it does not stop. And that should not at all shortchange the rest of the ensemble, which were fantastic. In a lot of ways, it kind of was more emotional than the first movie in a way.
Yeah.
It was bizarre how good this actually was, Alexys. I'm really curious to hear your experience watching this because I know it meant a lot more to you. I only ever watched Freaky Friday for the first time this year, whereas like you watched it like when it. I know, right? That's insane. So go ahead and take it away.
Listen, I have a friend. He's not my friend, but he's like a friend of a friend that has Lindsay Lohan tattooed on himself. I don't think you understand.
Is it Peter?
The people close to me, like the impact that Lindsay Lohan has had in our upbringing.
You had to be there.
Like, me and my cousins would have, every time we would see each other, we would have movie nights. Like, that's just what we did. We would, and we saw each other fairly often. I lived in the valley, but they all lived here. But but just every time we saw each other, whether it be for one night, for a weekend, for a whole week, that's just what we would do. And I kid you not, our lineup for movies were Confessions of a Teenage Drama Queen, Mean Girls, Freaky Friday, Pretty in Pink, whatever Audrey Hepburn movie we had on hand, Twilight, specifically Twilight. What else? Yeah, that was like what we would watch over and over and over and over again. So, and also, I feel like all of us connected specifically with Freaky Friday. I think this is a movie that kind of shaped, in a lot of ways, our taste in music, which we bond over. Like, that's just who we are when we hang out. I love this movie so much. I was scared. I was excited to see Lindsay Lohan back. That was, I think, what was like making me like, but wait, it's her. But I was scared. Mainly because when I saw the trailer, I was like, oh, again, this movie shaped the way that we listen to music, and to have like that music in the trailer, which is not bad music, but I don't know if you heard the soundtrack, not like of the movies that they made for the movie, but just like the soundtrack in general. It, like, a lot of it was like old music with new bands playing. And so that's what I wanted in this sequel, and it wasn't that.
You were telling me, so it was Chapel Rome that they were playing in the Freakier Friday trailer, and from what you were telling me, you were already concerned that, oh no, are we already getting into another situation in which the people come back 20 years later and completely misunderstand or forget part of the DNA of the original movie?
And like, that's not very far off. Like, the soundtrack in the movie was massive. Like, I feel like we listened to the soundtrack more than we watched the movie, which we watched the movie a whole lot. And not just like me, I feel like the general audience for the movie. So again, that was like very like, oh, okay. Like, I've seen this happen before, you know? Also, I don't know if you remember, but Disney Channel came out with the Freaky Friday movie not too long ago. That was a musical.
I forgot. Oh, really?
Yeah. So, I watched it. Because again, I love Freaky Friday. So yeah, keeping all that in mind, I was scared. I was like, I mean, I'll watch it because I'm a fan, but like, I'm not expecting much.
Especially because, like, I think, if I'm not mistaken, Figure Friday got greenlit around the same time as other, like, 2000s.
The Princess Diaries got greenlit. They're shooting. Yeah, that's when it.
Well, no, it did get greenlit. Okay, so did both Princess Diaries and Freakier Friday get greenlit after they already made Hocus Pocus 2 and Disenchanted?
Yes.
Okay. What I was trying to tell you is right now is
I don't remember.
The concerns that you already had are compounded by the fact that Hocus Pocus and Enchanted are great Disney live action movies, whereas the sequels, straight to Disney Plus, Hocus Pocus 2 and Disenchanted.
Were okay. I didn't watch Disenchanted, so I don't know.
No.
Hocus Pocus 2 was okay.
Hocus Pocus 2 was okay. It was okay. But even then, it's a far cry from the original in every respect, but it was okay. It didn't embarrass itself. Disenchanted, however, did embarrass itself. That was awful.
Oh, no.
Just so you know, but it was not good at all. Like, it was Alan Menken writing songs where you think to yourself, maybe it's time for you to retire.
No, don't say that.
It was not... It wasn't good. So maybe you might not want to watch that one. But it's obviously at this point, this movie arrives at a time in which not just with Disney, but not
Okay.
just with what was that? Okay, not just with Disney, but with a lot of studios, they just keep making legacy sequels that just fail to be anywhere close to the original, but in a especially uniquely bad way in which it fundamentally goes against and misunderstands the original thesis and main themes of the original films, like Lilo and Stitch did earlier this year, also from Disney.
Yes. So yeah, I was it came out last weekend, 2 weekends ago? And
Yeah.
my cousin who moved away a year ago, who was part of the group that I would watch it with, her sister actually, who's 5 years older than us, she would literally dress up like Freaky Friday, specifically Lindsay Lohan, all the time. Yeah, like, I'm not kidding when I say this movie meant so much to us. She even had the same like the backpack.
Okay.
So she was coming down that weekend, and she goes, "Hey, I am gonna be here for a week. We should make a point to go watch this movie because it's Freaky Friday." So ended up not working out that way, but me and another cousin who she's the youngest out of all of us, but she's like 10 years apart. So we got to show her all the movies that we would watch growing up, but it obviously is not the same, right? Because we were like in it. And she does enjoy them, and she is still part of that, but it's like different a little bit. So I got to see it with her. Yeah. It was the funnest time that I've had in a movie theater in so long.
Wasn't it?
Oh.
Wasn't it?
First of all, let me set the scene. We didn't know we got fancy theater seats. We got the reclining chairs. There was a wall behind us where nobody saw us. It was like each row had a wall.
Which theater was it?
Was
it La Jolla?
No, it was an AMC in Chula Vista. Like the last AMC before you hit the border. I think we went to go watch La La Land. So they made like fancy theaters, 2 of them, I think. And yeah, so we had a whole wall. We walk in and we were like, "Oh, okay. Sick." We sit down. It's a packed theater, which I loved.
You had a packed theater?
Packed theater.
Damn.
Like, we barely got seats. The trailers start. Hamilton trailer comes up.
Oh no.
You got me. Like, I don't know. I'm so happy. I'm so excited. I'm gonna be poor. I don't know. Yeah, that comes up. The movie starts. We are cracking up. Like, I will say the soundtrack for the movie, not as great as the first one, but it has bangers.
No. Yeah.
We are singing, we are laughing. I don't see who's on my left side, but there's one other person on my left side, and I don't know what to tell that person, but we were not quiet. Like, I was so like blown away. I was crying, I was laughing, I was singing. I had the best time. And then the song comes on. The song. It's a whole concert.
On and on.
Like,
yeah.
I don't know what to tell you. Good thing that I could see nobody, so it was a whole concert in there.
This was a genuinely, overwhelmingly joyous experience in which I am struggling to really find a comparison to. Let me tell you, There have been a lot of movies this year that I've really enjoyed to loved. And this one might be one of the more unique ones because I legit had no expectations for this movie. I had no expectations for this movie. Any other movie that I walked into, I had a pretty good feeling it would be good. This one was dodgy at best to see what was going to happen. And then it starts, and then at some point, you forget where you are. You forget what you are. You're just watching the movie. It captures you. You get swept up in it. And before you realize it, you're like having an amazing time. And when I realized, oh my God, I'm loving this, I was, oh my God, I'm loving this. What the hell is going on? Like, it's a legit good movie. Like, the performances, which were always going to be there, but they're obviously elevated by the fact that they've got a genuinely good follow-up here. I'm like, okay, how are we going to do this again? Okay, we're going to do it again by not doing the same things all over again. We're going to have, this is not the first movie. There's a lot of like callbacks to it, and there's like a similar rhyme to it, you could say. But the characters have progressed. They're not the same characters they were. And we've got a genuinely new dynamic with the two daughters here that really spices things up. Like, I honestly do feel like, if anything, maybe Lindsay and Jamie...
And they don't change in, like, in an annoying way. Because that's like a big problem also with sequels, that they just, like, fundamentally, like, change who the characters are. And I feel like here... Even the changes that they did have with, like, within each character, like, it makes sense. Especially, like, seeing it now as, like, an older person. Like, Lindsay Lohan's character specifically, like, where she was to where she is now, like, that makes so much sense in my head. You know?
And she's doing good.
Oh my God.
And she's successful. She was part of a band, and she's managing a label. Or like, it's. I mean, wow. Go figure. Have a legacy character come back and have her life actually be great, and not like shitty and falling apart. You know?
Yeah.
That's. I mean, I was gonna say, like, I think in a really weird way, I think Lindsay Lohan and Jamie Lee Curtis maybe give even better performances this time around than the last time around. Like, they're so. It's like the 22 years didn't like happen, and then they went straight to shooting the sequel. That's how good of a production this actually feels like, you know? I just like, I was, and then on top of all of that, it was, and as a lot of legacy sequels have done, it is very easy to cast new characters with actors and also writers that make those new characters feel annoying and insufferable. What I did not want was to have a movie where I only wanted to be watching Jamie and Lindsay and then not care about the other two. No, this didn't happen here. Like, I legit cared about these two new characters, and these new actors that they brought on here, like, they kind of really were the best to do that. Because, I mean, it's very easy for them to cast, like, people who are just not going to get your attention. But they realized that if we're going to make this movie with this script, which was a very good script, we need to make sure that we cast these new actresses to make sure that they are really captivating and have also a different dynamic than in the first movie, you know? That's what it is. It's not the same thing all over again. And I so appreciate any movie that wants to do that, because I just wish, imagine a different reality where, you know, it's one thing that we have mostly legacy sequels and nonstop reboots and sequels these days, but what people don't really talk about as much is that most of them are quite bad. I think it would be a different atmosphere if they were actually good instead of bad. Like, if we're going to have all these endless reboots and sequels, I would rather them be good, you know? But so rare is the day that they actually are. And the rule normally is, it's gonna be bad unless it's not. And this movie, Freakier Friday, falls into that category. Where a movie like this, everything about it on paper screams, oh, it's gonna be bad and useless and pointless. But it wasn't. And in a weird way, it actually was a brilliant extension of the original thing. It also maybe even elevates the original. Not that it needed to be elevated. It was a great movie in its own right, but like it was surreal also just watching this, a movie made in the mid 2020s. And despite the fact that, yes, the soundtrack is inferior to the original, of course, but still, there's still some bangers in there. It, in a weird way, not in all the ways, because there are some things about it that definitely are 2020s, but for the most part, you have a genuine, heartfelt comedy with laughs and like genuine emotional moments that get you at your heartstrings. This screams like a movie that was made in the 2000s that we would get all the time. Freakier Friday is the kind of movie that would play in theaters without fail every week of the calendar year. And now we don't get anymore. And that is part of the appeal. And that is part of the power this movie has for those who are going to take the time to give it a chance. Again, we don't want to. This is not the best movie ever made. Don't get it twisted. But it is if you like the original movie, it is going to be hard to dislike this one.
Yeah.
And I'm just glad that we all feel the same way about it. Too. It's like I didn't think anything was going to happen here. I was on the fence, and then I saw it, and I was like, okay.
Yeah.
We'll put this in the column of Disney movies that actually worked.
I was so happy, because again, the cousin that came to visit, she wasn't able to go. So when we got home, I was so happy to genuinely tell her it was so good. You need to go watch it, and not just be like, you can go watch it. Like I was ready. I was ready to go see it again.
Yeah. I'd go see it again. It's a lot of fun. Especially because which were one of these two cousins you mentioned the one that invited you to go watch Moana 2?
No.
Okay. Because Moana 2 you were a lot more lukewarm at best about. You were kind of like, why did I watch that?
I forgot about the movie.
Like, yeah.
I will not
what
forget.
Movie?
Exactly.
Basically. So, yeah. I'm just so happy that we are getting good movies. Because it's been, and I gotta tell you, I feel like this summer,
it's been really good.
Maybe one of my, it's not only has it been really good, I think it's been one of my favorite summers, maybe in ever, because most of the things that I watched this summer were good, but there were also such different movies.
Yeah.
If I'm looking at right now, this summer, what I've been able to watch, obviously, I mean, and Fantastic Four, which we'll talk about a little bit right now. It's not my favorite. I don't even really like it all that much, but it wasn't bad. It was just kind of mostly whatever, but there were things I liked about it. So things that I liked: Fantastic Four, F1, Weapons.
I've heard F1 was really good.
It was really good, actually. The Phoenician Scheme, The Life of Chuck, K-Pop Demon Hunters, Freakier Friday, The Naked Gun, Materialists, Superman and Elio. Very all different movies, but all of them, I think I liked all of them. And they're all different. I mean, the only one that the Fantastic Four I liked, but I'm never going to watch it again. So it's like the rest of these that I named, I would watch again many more times. Mm-hmm. Fantastic Four, probably not. So that's what I wanted to point out there is I think this is one of my favorite, if not the favorite summer, because wow, we actually got some good movies, because the last couple of summers have been pretty terrible. I can't even name you a movie that came out last summer that wasn't called Deadpool and Wolverine or Inside Out 2. The year before, it was just Barbenheimer.
Yeah.
And then the year before, what? I got COVID. And then Thor Love and Thunder happened.
Oh, no.
So I don't... Yeah. So I'm like, ugh. Yeah. So and then this has been my favorite summer maybe ever. Because for the most part, I've legitimately liked a lot of these movies.
Agreed.
F1 was really good, I gotta say. And I also, did you ever watch Mickey 17? I rewatched it because I bought the Blu-ray. I saw it. It's like, oh, it's here. I did watch it in theaters. We did give it a positive review, but we were kind of like, not whatever on it, but it's good. It's good. We liked it. I rewatched it. It's actually like, okay, this is actually really good. It's a weird, kooky vibe,
Mm-hmm.
but I think you'll dig it. And Robert Pattinson's like, he's playing like, you know. Did you watch Phoenician Scheme though? The what? Multiple, yeah.
No.
Did you watch the Phoenician with Ben? Well, now you can't because now it's on the Vudu. So if you want to, this is my favorite one of his movies since Grand Budapest Hotel.
Okay.
It's not as good as Grand Budapest Hotel, but like I thought it was really really fun. So
Okay.
I liked it a lot. So if you wanted to watch those, it's now on our shared Movies Anywhere thing. So yeah. We're gonna do that, but that's what I wanted to say. Alexis, did you want to give your you haven't had the chance to talk about Fantastic Four?
Oh.
Yeah.
I don't really have much to say. It was okay.
Well, yeah,
I don't know. I will say, I like really don't want to watch it again. I did have kind of a weird movie experience because I think we got the same movie theater as Superman, and I don't know if you remember, but the air conditioning was not working.
I remember.
And it was
what
like
happened?
10 times worse. Keep in mind, we went Comic-Con weekend. It was packed. It was the couple next to me, the girl literally looked at her boyfriend or whatever and goes, "This is torture." It was so bad. Like, I didn't even stick to the end credit scenes because I was like, I can't like be in here anymore.
No.
Yeah, so I was in a pretty bad mood. So
wait. What was worse though? The body heat or the body odor?
No, the heat. Yeah.
Okay.
I
So
didn't smell body odor.
Because what? Okay, so it was just the heat.
It
Okay.
was the heat.
Because when you said Comic-Con weekend, I immediately think of body odor. That's
like,
why
a lot of people I had not seen the theater that packed in years. I don't think ever, honestly.
Yeah.
It was insane.
We saw the same thing happen when we went to see it the next day on Friday, I think,
Mm-hmm.
with David, and we saw a lot of people there too, and it was a little stuffy, but I don't think it's as warm as you were describing it. But I mean, if we're talking about the same theater that we saw Superman in, I was dying.
Yeah.
During Superman,
No, I literally had to like look up because the air was like up here and just like and go down. Like it was so bad. It was bad.
Did David not feel anything?
I think he did, but he's David.
He's David about it. He just kind of like goes with it. Oh God, what's happening with that theater?
I don't know, and I think it's just that one because it hasn't. I mean, I don't know.
Maybe it's just that room.
I think it's just that room. I don't know.
Because we saw Elio the month before, and it was no issue whatsoever, right? We saw Elio at that same AMC, but it was on the other side.
It was on the other side, though. It wasn't that same one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it's just that one, but hopefully they got it fixed because I hated my life. But aside from that, I don't know. It was whatever. I guess like the only positives are what's her name? Sue. I did like the Silver Surfer. She had a pretty sick ass line. But I don't know. I don't agree with them bringing in that specific villain. so soon. I thought the plot line was like weird. I don't know. I just
I
think it
think
was kind of
clearly
a
people are
waste.
not. Yeah, I think people are not vibing with it as much as they would want
And at the
you
end
to
of the
believe.
day, I think I told you this. At the end of the day, like I can't get it out of my head that this is what they bought a whole studio for. Like for this, I don't know.
Alexis, can I just ask you a question? I've been to your apartment. I'm just trying to wrap my head around what the hell is happening because like you're on the second floor, and you're telling me there's a dog right below you, and you can hear it that loudly. Because it literally sounds like it's like outside the window.
It is right outside the window.
Oh, so I thought it was inside the building underneath you. It's
No,
tied
it's
outside.
yeah.
Someone's gonna complain about that. Like it's been like 2 hours and this thing is still like barking.
It stopped barking for quite some time.
Yeah. I have this weird thing about dogs barking at nothing. It really gets to me. Especially when it's during our recordings. Anyway, you haven't had a chance to say your piece on materialists, whereas the rest of the internet has definitely had an opportunity to say a million things about it. Would you care to engage in that discourse, or are you over it?
I think
No comment.
no. I think that it's a movie that everybody could relate to in some way, and that just depends on who you are as a person or who the person is. I feel like I think the only thing I will like maybe discredit is the whole poor man propaganda thing.
The broke man propaganda, yeah.
I think that's so strange.
So the broke man propaganda is this idea that the movie is trying to tell people that you should always pick the guy that has less money over the guy that has more money.
Yeah, like okay. I don't believe that at all to be true, but to each their own. I didn't hate the movie. I really enjoyed the movie, but there's just things that I'm like, personally,
they don't sit well with you.
I wouldn't even say that. Just like, if I was like a friend of the character, I would be like, girl. But like, that's it. And it's so like personal again to each like individual that I don't know. I just think that like everybody's valid in what they're thinking, and what I personally feel or what I would have done in the movie or like is not what would have happened if I say it, right? But at the end of the day, like the movie is what it is, and it's not bad. It opens up, these conversations, and at the end of the day, like they're interesting conversations because you get to see everybody's like perspective on things, and if you start to get aggressive about it, then maybe you gotta sit back and be like, oh, what is going on in my life that I need to be so aggressive about it, But yeah. What did you think of it? Because I can't remember like what the things that I had said that David did not explain very well.
Well, I think ultimately, if I remember correctly, from like you and I talking about it, I think you had an issue with, not necessarily with like, you did not have an issue with the movie ending with the couple that got together, which was Lucy and John. It was more so how it was handled and what may have potentially been implied.
Oh, I guess like with me, together. I wouldn't have chosen either man. and for different reasons. Like, I do believe that she like did not care for him, and if you don't care for the person, why are you gonna be with him? I do think that she cared about the Chris Evans character, but I'm sorry. I like the fact that he's like, I'll put our anniversary date in the calendar so I won't forget. What? Please. Like, no. It like
The yeah.
I do believe that they cared for each other, but like the effort that each person was putting into that relationship was not equal, and it's not even like about the money. Like, it's just
Showing
and
that you care.
yeah. Like, do you really have to be reminded of that? I don't know. That was like the ick part for me, and then the other guy,
Yeah.
the ick part for me was like that he just like expected her to do what he wanted, or like doesn't even have a conversation of like, okay, this is where we're at now. Like, I didn't like that either. Like, I think both guys had like bad things going for them.
So you would have been like, I'm out of here. Can't choose me.
Yes, exactly.
I'm out. You ain't good enough, either of you. Maybe there's a third option somewhere, and if it's only me, then I guess it's me, and that's good enough.
Yes.
That would have been an interesting movie if it had gone in that direction. I think ultimately the things that you're saying they're very valid ways to feel about it, because I do think, look, that's why movies are art, right? And everybody can take different takeaways from it. And I can see why some people would feel like, and I do think the movie is saying that maybe Chris Evans' character, wasn't trying as hard as he could be. And I think it says that from the very first time we see that flashback of them getting in a fight in the middle of the street, in that she clearly was making concessions and efforts. And he wasn't willing to budge for a long period of time. And I think it is very fair to be critical of the fact that any individual that all of a sudden realizes, okay, fine, maybe I'll actually try this time. The sad thing about
the way that you just said it, that's how I felt he was saying it. Like, okay.
Yeah, no, yeah.
And again, that's like, I can't, like, I don't know.
If that's how you thought it came off, that's how it was. It felt like to you. Then that's totally fine. If that's how you felt, and a lot of people did feel that way. I guess to me, if I were to explain it in my head, and again, this is where we get into like different, like, I guess, perspectives. But the way that I took it was like, because to be clear here, the one thing that we're not going to argue is the fact that he's not going to be rich. That's just kind of baked into it. Like it's, and what Celine Song said about, like, being poor or living in poverty is not ultimately the fault of the poor. Because there's a lot to be said about the system in which we live in. We don't disagree about that. That's not what we're talking about. So we're going to put that to the side here.
Yeah.
Just to be clear about that. That's what it is. I think ultimately the debate is, how much of an effort was John really putting in to work at this relationship? And I do think definitively not very much, which is why the relationship didn't last. Ultimately, I think the movie is saying in a lot of different ways, these two people loved each other, but it didn't work out because really he wasn't putting her first. And that's why the relationship did not last. And ultimately, the way that I felt when it came around to the end while it is shitty to think like all these years and finally he has this epiphany, that's fair to think that way. The way that I think it was supposed to come off is that for him to say, I have been wrong this whole time. Being with you these past couple of days has made me realize how I wasn't doing enough to be a part of this. And I know ultimately what I am doing isn't going to last or work out the way that I want. But maybe what I actually do want now is to make it with you. And so I'm now, even though he should have been doing it, but I think that's kind of the arc of the story is he wasn't doing it then, and maybe now he is going to do what he can to make her happy. And ultimately, I think the movie is getting behind the idea of maybe it's not. Maybe love isn't something that can be calculated like math about the amount of material riches you have. Maybe love is something that is measured in something we don't have a calculator for yet. And love can make people do things that on paper may not be the wisest of decisions to make. And I do feel like the movie doesn't pretend that, even though and it's fair for people to think that when the movie ends, oh, they're getting married, it's going to be happily ever after. If I choose to, I can read it that way, but ultimately, if you've watched to the whole movie up to the point that where it ends, I don't seriously think Celine's song has any delusions about the fact that this isn't a happily ever after. This is the beginning of a new chapter, and maybe it'll go right this time, or maybe not. I have seen some criticism that makes me wonder, and I think I buy a little bit more into, about the fact that she felt the need to quit her job at the end of the movie. Although, to be fair, it kind of leaves it a little bit open-ended where it's like, well, what if you were the boss now? And then she doesn't really give an answer. It's interesting to have these kind of conversations, and I don't dismiss them out of hand. There are some people that I think are maybe being a bit way too aggressive
that's
about
what I
it.
mean. Like,
to tell you the truth,
like it's a really cool movie because again, it like people's reaction have been so interesting, and I just feel like it's such like a mirror for each of us. And like I said, I feel like it's so personal to each individual that again, it's like a mirror, and you have to take it like you're gonna respond to it the way that your life has been. And so
yeah.
it goes back to the
And some
thing of
people
like,
felt personally attacked.
yes, and that's so interesting to me. But I think that everything that people say is valid. And
Yeah.
and I love, like, I can't think of another movie that's like done that. That is so, you know?
It is a. I think this is the definition of a divisive movie. In a good way, though. I think
Yeah.
divisive movie doesn't have to mean bad all the time. Like when a work of art is divisive, we can have great conversations.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, sometimes they don't materialize in the way that they should, and the loudest voices in the room kind of come in and take over the whole conversation. And that's why broke man propaganda, which is the dumbest discourse out of all of the things he could have led with, of course, that's the one that gets the most traction.
Yeah. I don't know. That one's weird. But I also brought up with David that there's this whole thing because I feel like men have been more apologetic towards the movie than girls, and this whole like gender thing when it comes to the movie I think is also very interesting, especially if you're in the dating culture today. Um, it's, I mean, there. I don't know if you've heard about this whole male loneliness epidemic.
Oh yeah, I mean, of
Yes,
course I would hear about it. I mean, because of like that's right wing culture
yes.
mentality. Why do you think the right wing likes to huddle up with each other so much and like, bro out at all their let's go work out together, go to the locker room together and wrestle together. Let's go watch fucking Joe Rogan on TV and let's go vote for Trump in our spare time and devalue the women that we claim to cherish for in our lives. Like it's all like all of that is interlinked
Yeah,
with the rise of fascism, and also the same people who are promoting like woke is what ruined movies in our space. It's all interlinked with each other. Like that's why I'm saying you can't just think about it as one little thing. Like male loneliness is not the whole. It is a piece of the whole story we've
yeah,
been talking about.
yeah. Like,
So yeah, I've heard of it.
okay, good.
And
um,
it's
so
yeah.
yeah. So to like bring all of that into this movie, I just think is so interesting because like one of the things that I was like, I mean, you said it earlier, I would choose myself. Like, I'm sorry, I'm not gonna put up with any of this, and yeah, it like it's just so cool. It's, I don't know, I like when movies, anything like makes conversations like this. Because then it
Yeah.
brings up other things, like what you like, just saying that phrase. Look how you reacted to it, but then it also brings
Male,
up,
lonely male.
yeah, like it also brings up. I think, uh, since maybe not since the movie, but I've seen it more now since the movie. This whole thing of like how women today are, it's the first time in their family lineage that like they live alone, that they have a career, that they're able to pay for their own things. Um, so to like bring that into this movie that is very also valid, like how you were talking about her quitting her job at the end, like it was for. I mean, it's hard because of everything that we saw going on with her work, but it's also like kind of for him. So I don't know. It it's a
I want to like another piece of this that we've kind of been alluding to, and it's really this unspoken thing that every woman knows, but a lot of guys don't either. And I think the guys know it too, but they don't think it's really that big of an issue. And I think it also kind of like ties in with like, how men are like more sympathetic with John and some women are very just like not having it with it. Is because there's just this inherent double standard in civilization when it comes to how we treat men and how we treat women. Like,
mm-hmm.
look at how we're framing this whole lonely male conversation. Like, oh, you poor baby, you're so alone. How can we help you? Meanwhile, those people spit at all the women in their lives by voting against them and devaluing them, and just it doesn't matter. They don't get to have control over their
Mm-hmm.
bodies. They don't get to be more important than I do. So it's like if you're asking me as a
Yeah.
man, and as a man that is like knows a lot more than a lot of these, I feel so alone. Why am I going to feel any kind of sympathy toward you if your actions clearly you don't see the wrong in the actions that you do? Like,
Mm-hmm.
I am actually really happy to see more and more women when they're trying to reach out to dating guys, they're bringing it up. Who did you vote for? And
Yeah,
making that a
yeah.
freaking litmus
And
test
that's what I
because you know
mean,
what? Yeah.
like bringing, I don't know. I guess like the thing that really bothered me when watching the movie was like the calendar thing, because that just shows, I don't know. I guess like with me it's more so I shouldn't be telling you how to treat me.
Yeah. You should already know.
Yes, because you're not complaining about how I'm treating you. So why can't I get the same back? That's
Yeah.
that's the part that I'm like, that's why I didn't like her choosing him. And the other guy was kind of the same thing. the thing that I brought up with David was when he gave her the keys. He was on the phone, no conversation, after a day, just like...
Yeah, that was way too casual, wasn't it?
That's what I mean. I'm like, no. Like, it can't just be like that. So, yeah. That's where I'm at with it. I just didn't like the decision. I would have made a different one, but it's okay that she did this, because that's her. You go. Get what you want.
Yeah. I would just, like, on the whole, like, lonely man thing, it's like, why are you always making yourselves the victims? And why are you always being the babies you accuse women of being?
Exactly.
Women have always been far tougher, far smarter, far stronger than any man, because women have the ability to have, I don't know, a sense of security in their identity and in their self-esteem for the most part, like, whereas men are just like, they fall apart at the seams. You know, I remember once, and this is like typical machismo attitude, even though my dad's not really that much of a machismo, but, like, I mean, he's Mexican, so you know it's in the culture and in the DNA. But I remember in 2008, and at that point I was like, I think maybe 13 years old. I remember, and this was when Obama and Hillary were running against each other in the primaries, and I remember, like, him saying, it's like, you can't let a woman run the country. She's going to be too emotional.
Yeah, I mean, I hear that all the time. My dad, like, makes comments like that. And listen, I got a whole thing with my dad going on right now. Like,
but, like, are you kidding me? If all we've ever had were male presidents, we've already had wars. Talk about emotional. Do you see the bitch right now that's living in the White House? This petty ass bitch that gets triggered over anything? Like, who was it? Like, he had this, like, paragraph because AOC said something mean about him and he just lost his shit. Like, that was one of the most, like, dumbest things I've ever heard anyone say, and people to this day still believe that mentality that women are too emotional to handle the stress of leading the nation, whereas men are very obviously more emotional. I remember in 2018 when Brett Kavanaugh was accused of sexual assault or harassment, the Supreme Court justice that ended up being a justice. At that point, he was about to be confirmed, and the Republicans were so mad. How dare a good man be accused and have his good name be wrung through the mud? And Lindsey Graham, who's a gay Republican, to be, in case anybody didn't know that, but he was red in the face, screaming with anger and fury in his face about how dare these liberals and leftists ruin your good name. The anger, the insecurity of these people, I mean, I don't even have to be here and, like, give you examples. You've seen it. And I think women have every right to be furious and angry with the hand that they've been dealt. And look, it's funny how there's this saying of, like, women are more emotional than men, which that's not true. But why do women get no credit for the fact that they handle pain, physical pain, better than men? Men are and I say this as a man, we're fucking babies when it comes. We get a paper cut, we fall apart. Women literally give birth. They, like, spit babies out and they're like, all right, I'm ready for the next one. It's not comparable. Like, I didn't even realize this as I was a kid, but now I've just become aware that women are just constantly in physical pain for one reason or the other, and they just go about their lives. Whereas if my dad is sick, he is out of commission. He's, like, out of, like,
we would all be sick, and my mom, like, including my mom, and she would be taking care of all of us while all of us were, like, dead. Absolutely not. I'm sorry, but that's not gonna be me.
And it doesn't have to be you if that's not what you want.
Well,
and look, it's like, if
right
people want to do that, yeah, as of right now, if people want to do that, and if they want to, and if they find meaning and happiness, you do you. Everybody should be free to do themselves, to do what they want to do with their lives. And the problem is, too many people, especially the ones that hold influence and power these days, don't want people to be thinking about themselves. I mean, we live in a society where it's been misconstrued to where a norm mainstream talking point is if you choose to not have children, you're the one that's painted as selfish. When it's honestly like the furthest thing from the truth. I feel like people who choose not to have children have actually put a lot of thought into it, whereas the people who do have children probably thought about doing other things and it accidentally ended up popping one out where that wasn't the intent to begin with, and then they've rationalized, oh, that's how it was meant to be all along, and having a family is like the best thing anybody could have because that's all I'm ever going to have, so I have to think that's the peak of life, otherwise what did I do? And people they can't handle that reality, so they tell themselves whatever they want to hear to like live with their life. And like, hey, look, like I just don't like I mean, of course, I don't like a lot of double standards, but people need to grapple with the fact that there are a series of double standards that all kinds of people have to live with, but particularly women have to endure. And you'd think that post Barbie, you would be having more of that realization. But of course, post Barbie, and then of course, we get Trump back in the White House. So I guess it didn't mean shit. I mean, we had a presidential election after Roe v. Wade was struck down, and white women still chose the guy that made abortion
against the
be
woman,
made
a qualified
illegal.
woman,
Yeah,
might I add, whether
against the
you were
yeah.
with her or
So
not.
yeah.
Like, we still can't, you know.
Kamala Harris was a joke of a candidate, but I would have voted for her 100,000 times before I ever voted for Donald Trump. She was a flawed individual that had many, many problems. But if she were the president right now, we wouldn't be having the problems that we're having right now when it comes to economic collapse, healthcare being removed, citizens being disappeared. I mean, that wouldn't be happening right now. Right now, we wouldn't have Kamala Harris wouldn't be calling up the Smithsonian to review all the materials that they have in the museum to make sure that it is like appropriate.
On the brink of
That
a
wouldn't be
World
happening.
War whatever for I don't know how
Yeah.
many times already.
So it's yeah. I don't know what else to say. That's just kind of like where it is with that. But I think we're gonna start to bring this to a wrap. I think we're on. Are we already at 3 hours? Yeah, I think it's time to bring it to a wrap.
I don't even know.
I will say, yeah, I think it's telling me it's at
Oh,
three,
yeah,
already
3,
3 hours.
And the dog is going off again.
And the dog is telling us it's time to wrap it up. I will say that, as usual, when you are on one of these shows, it has been a very lively and engaging conversation. I genuinely do think that when you're on these shows, you bring a lot more value and variety, of course, to the table, and you bring a really interesting perspective. Thank you for being on here today, and thank you for the last 10 years of our lives that we've spent together. It is incredible to think about for us. And I would also just hope that for anyone that happens to watch or listen to this, it would encourage people to stay in touch with ones that have similar passions. Like, and to be clear, it's like we're not the only friends in each other's lives. We have different like sets of friends that have different passions and different interests, whether it be family friends, or just work friends. It is healthy for you to expand beyond one little group. Don't get it twisted and think that we're the 4 people that you see on this podcast, we're the only friends that we have. No, we have a wide variety of characters that we keep in our lives because that's what keeps it being a life. That's what keeps it interesting. And I think the more people you involve in your life, the more you will grow as a person and the more enriched you become. Don't allow yourself to be complacent and
Allow
stick
for people
to the same
be there
person.
for you, but also be there for other people, because that's
Yeah.
how, I don't know, that's how you make communities, and I don't know, it just like enriches your life, like,
Yeah.
you know.
It honestly really does. And it would, and I think like it changes you to a way that I don't even know if I would be the same person if it wasn't for any of this. I truly don't know what I would have become or what I would have looked like. I think when I met you guys, I didn't think of it at the time, but I definitely probably was, even though I wasn't like advertising, or at least thinking I was advertising it like a know-it-all. But being with you and having you in my life, it made me realize, man, I really didn't know anything. Or because like you bring this whole other world lived experience, and I feel like we all had a different take on life. We had some similarities, but we had different lives that we led. We came together. We shared our experiences together throughout these last 10 years, and we've learned from each other. And I think it's better prepared us for all the things that, we have been dealing with. The things that I have been able to do these last 10 years, maybe even more, especially these last 5, like I didn't think that I ever would be capable of doing that. It's helped that I've been engaged with the world.
And even just like having
yeah.
conversations in general, I feel like it's helped
Yeah.
me voice my thoughts better. Whatever thoughts, good, bad, in between, whatever they may be, that it's helped other relationships outside of here. Like it's helped me either comfort them when they've needed, or voice that I need them to help me as well. If that makes any sense. Which, yeah, like I'm just so happy that this has been a positive experience for everybody for the last 10 years. Even with the ups and downs, like I just think we've all gained so much from it.
Yeah. It definitely went by a lot faster than I thought it would have. Like 20 doesn't feel like that long ago. But it actually is that long ago. If you think about it all that much. But yeah. I've definitely been very thankful to you guys this last year that you moved closer. Because now we've been able to see each other. I think we've seen each other a lot more in this last year than in the previous 5.
Yeah.
To tell you, I mean, in person, because we honestly, like, we talk every day on the group chats that we have, so we have that. Then we also have this show, so we are able to see and talk to each other. We're still in that virtual distance learning,
Yes.
I guess, COVID era. But yeah, I definitely am thankful for your friendship and for just being in my life. And as thankful I am for everybody who has been a part of this group, and for anyone who ever has cared to listen to our many never-ending, nauseatingly, overly long and overstuffed conversations. Because that's just kind of like what we do here. Next time that we're on the show, I'm hopeful to talk about some other films. Before we leave, Alexys, did you like Weapons?
I did. I had fun with it.
Okay. Yeah, I did too. And we're going to talk more about that with Peter next time. We also saw the 4K restoration of Shin Godzilla, which was really cool. And there may be some more experiences. I think you and I are going to do something with K-pop pretty soon.
These next couple of weeks, I mean, there's K-pop, there's Hamilton, there's the 60th anniversary of The Sound of Music. I just found out. I don't think it's in September. Yeah. I think it may be in October, but I just found out that they're releasing a Depeche Mode like movie documentary thing, and that's like one of my favorite bands. You gotta
save some
ever.
money, girl, because Jaws is also gonna come out again.
Oh yeah, I've seen Jaws though. I don't think I want to.
Oh, yeah, you have.
I don't want to watch it again because when we went to go see it, was like peak.
Yeah, but David hasn't seen it though. That's the thing. He
Oh.
hasn't seen Jaws.
Yeah. Okay.
That's oh yeah, I know. It's a lot. It's maybe too many things happening. So, oh no. Well, we'll see what happens. With all that being said, thank you to everyone who listened and followed as my voice quits as I am dying at this point. Oh, I just repeated something. Alright, Sandra Spotlight, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye, everybody. Bye-bye. God, I need...